Welcome to the Smeth Den. So today we're going to be talking to Zerse. They call him an incel every time he talks. He's got a lot of criticisms of women. You may have seen him around on some WIC panels. He just likes any chance to talk about women and his ideas. He reminds me a lot of Steven Crowder and how he talks about this stuff. But I want to talk to him because I agree with some of the things that he says. And I also disagree with some of the things he says. Let me get that fucking link out. I'm not doing too good. I'm in an emotional place right now. Let me get that link out. Yeah, baby. Alright, he's ready. Let's get that guy in here. Alright, let's call him up.
Change discourse little call thing, huh?
Yo, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I am live right now, just so you know.
That's cool.
Cool.
Ugh. I'm not decent though. No, I'm kidding. That's so fun. You want me to turn the camera on or?
Yeah, if you want. You don't have to, but it would be nice.
Hold on, let me get situated. Actually, I should probably change these headphones because my other pair is down. So give me a second.
You are a divisive person. People get pissed when they hear you talk.
They're upset with me because I say people should treat each other better and be kind and be wise, I guess. I don't know.
That's not what they're upset with.
That's exactly what they're upset with.
Yeah, I'm talking to Zerse Kilo.
I am curious. Usually when people disagree with me, it's not even disagreeing with what I'm saying. It might be how I say it, maybe. It might be my tone. It might be my soft voice. It might be the way I look. But usually people don't ever say, yeah, maybe people shouldn't treat each other better. It's like no one ever really against the ultimate points that I made.
Yeah, I feel like you're doing that on purpose.
You think so?
Yeah, I feel like you I compared you, like, in my intro to Steven Crowder, and you remind me of how he has like his table where he's like, prove me wrong or whatever, and he has really good points a lot of times, but underneath his I agree with a lot of shit that you say, except there'll be like one underlying thing that I don't agree with.
Give me 1 sec. I heard that last sentence you said. I'm gonna switch the headphones. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Actually, because I can't hear you.
Hello. Introduction to the guest. Okay. This is Zerse. Why don't you introduce yourself? If you're let the man get his shit set up. Let
me see. This is weird. That's weird.
So yeah, my title of my stream is "They Call Him an Incel."
All right. Can you hear me? Can I hear you now?
Hello.
Speak?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Maybe you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
I can hear you, but you can't hear me. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, so you can hear me, but I can't hear anything out of these headphones.
Yes. Yes, we can all hear you. All right. I'm going to do that.
All right. Different plan. I'm going to use the same headphones I was using before, but charge them. Because for some reason, my headphones aren't working.
Okay. Just calm down. Just calm down, everybody. It'll be okay. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. So the other day, I took this photo, for just like a Twitter post. So I took a suction cup dildo and I put it on my forehead, and then I like posted like I'm your unicorn boy, and so I'm still dealing with the consequences of that because I've like got a big hickey like on my forehead now, and it looks like really fucking ugly, dude. It's like, so yeah, so that's what that is.
Can you see me? And then I'm visible.
Oh wait, I can see you now. Oh, I can see you now.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, so you were saying something like compared to this.
Hold on, you're very quiet now. Yeah, very quiet. I turned you all the way up, but you're still very quiet.
Okay.
So do you want to be a streamer or something?
Maybe. Oh, I see exactly. So the should be a lot better, right?
Yep, it's a lot better. Okay, you're all good. Everything's good.
Yeah. So what was goofy is so Discord swapped to the microphones in the headset, but it didn't let me hear any audio from it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But you were saying it was similar to Mr. Crowder.
Yeah, you remind me of Steven Crowder. So
That's the first time I've ever been compared to Steven Crowder.
so last time we talked, there was the argument went down to there's a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
You said that men so you think that men should protect women or not? Like, so let's say like a woman is
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a general rule, with great power comes great responsibility. So
okay.
yeah, I would say. I think to say men should protect women is a bit silly. As much as men will protect women, it's what we do. We like them so much. It's more saying that that's what men will do than that's something that men should do.
Yeah, okay. And you are saying that women so I mean I agree that men will do that, and you're saying that women should be nice to men because of that.
Not necessarily because of that. Usually when I say that, I use it as an example of an expectation that is placed upon men in society. In that, if I take a lesser expectation and put it on women, there's resistance from people, which I think is it's just an excellent example. The idea that you expect men to throw themselves in battle to face other men, so to speak. But if I then respond with, well, maybe women should have a wee bit more grace, wee bit more compassion, just in any regard, really. Not even necessarily with like strange men, but in any regard, people get upset, they get mad, they get their feelings hurt, which is weird.
Okay. When you say have a little bit of compassion, then the examples that we went into were talking about, let's say that you hit on a girl in a coffee shop in line, and okay, so she responds very negatively, and then she's like, get the fuck away from me, you fucking creep.
Yeah, that's
And
probably shouldn't do that. Probably a little mean.
okay, well, what did you say to her? Let's do a role play. Like I'll be the woman. You do the just
Mm,
say what would you say? Okay,
I
what
would
would
say,
be
hi, I saw you. Thought you're a really cute person. How are you doing today?
no thank you, bye.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
It's definitely
I've
rude.
experienced that.
It's a little
Not,
rude.
it's short. I wouldn't say rude. If the
Okay.
person says, "I'm not interested," but thank you, that's short, but it's not
Well,
rude.
the
I
the
think rude. Here,
bye. It's like
I'll give you a good example of rude. All right, there's the true approach. I went up to a lady. She turns out she was older than I thought she was. I could tell from her voice. And I said, "Hi, I saw you," and she said, "I got nothing for you. Bye." That's a little rude. You didn't even let me get the set out. You were just like, "Nope, nope," and I was like, "Well, okay." But like I said, she's a little bit older than I thought she was. She was very attractive, but like her voice, like maybe she had like a smoker's voice or something. But when she talked, I was like, oh, nee, that's an older lady.
that doesn't sound
But
that bad to me. I mean, it's like a little rude, but I don't
well,
think it's
the first,
bad. It's
I
fine.
mean, it's yeah. I mean, I'm still here. I'm not torn up about it. Life went on.
Okay. So you think that she shouldn't be like that?
I don't I don't really care. It's she could have been nicer, but I mean, ultimately, I don't really see a grand difference. If I really were to like talk about areas where women should probably be kinder, it's probably I think that's just a good example. But I think the nitty gritty or the more deeper details would be actually in interpersonal relationships, right? Like let's say you trapped a dude in the friend zone, right? And you know that he's doing a lot of gestures for you because he's trying to earn your favor. A compassionate thing to do would be to stop accepting the gestures. Just don't accept it. Just say,
Yeah.
I know you want to date me, but just don't. Like you're not building anything. I'm not gonna change my mind. Which sounds harsh. And honestly it might sound a bit much to say, I will never change my mind ever, but you could do it. That's compassionate. It might not seem like it at the time, but giving someone the space and ability to reject them and let them go, that's that's being compassionate. But a lot of ladies instead, and I witnessed this throughout most of my life, they'll just keep taking the favors. They'll keep taking the attention. They'll keep taking the gifts. They just take and take and take and take and take and take. And at no point do they ever say, "Dude, stop." They just keep taking until the dude gets frustrated.
Okay. There are definitely women like that, and that is a problem. But also, you have to take responsibility for your part in that relationship because you were not also advocating for yourself either.
I agree.
So,
Oh, I totally agree.
so
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
an engagement like that, there's two things. So, how old were you like when that was happening?
Well, that's never happened to me.
Oh, okay.
It happened to a friend of mine, well, an
Younger?
ex-friend of mine. We were in college.
Sure,
The
sure.
ones
That's
that came to my mind, we were in college, and he definitely did a lot.
oh yeah, oh,
He
yeah,
he
that
would
yeah,
cook
okay.
for her, watch movies with her. They would spend most of their time with each other. Like,
I got it.
honestly, she kinda led the boy on.
Yeah,
Even her
okay, I
roommate her
got it.
roommate called her out
Okay, so
for it, right? So
he's gotta like
mhm,
not be pathetic and know what he's worth and not like give something to somebody who's not really appreciating it. Um, but also in this type of like relationship or scenario, um, especially younger, and I definitely anything under 25, I consider you like a child. That's how I mean like you're not like
pretty much.
fully socially like when we're having these complex conversations about nuanced social dynamics. I
Mhm.
don't hold you like when you're 30, like even like up to like I'm 30 now, and I was less sophisticated like 3 years ago than I am today, and I was definitely way less sophisticated when I was 21 or like 22, 25 even, and I just think that people in their 30s dating looks a lot different, and people in their early 20s and stuff, people just are wiling out and figuring out shit and they don't know what to do. I think that women need to learn how to reject men and stuff like that. There's a couple things going on there. Like I feel like a lot of women feel like if they tell him that they're not interested, they're doing something like bad, and they're like afraid of to like to hurt them. and they don't want to do that, and that is part of it, and they're wrong. I mean, like in the short term, it puts them in an uncomfortable situation too, and but in the long term, like it's definitely the better thing to do, and you're taking advantage of somebody when that is happening. Also, a lot of women will like get creeped out in that situation and resentful, and I don't think that's fair either. And I've talked about that.
You better be careful. They're gonna call you an incel.
Well, okay, so yeah, but like, so the way you're the way you're talking to me now sounds a lot
Mhm.
more um I guess like when you're talking to like a big group, like somebody will get like, you'll say something that'll trigger somebody, and then
Mhm.
like people will start like throwing like insults at you, and then you get really passive aggressive. Okay, I know you don't think you do, but you absolutely do, and you wield
Well,
it very
okay.
well. But
But here's the thing, though. Let's be fair to me, though. Even if I'm passive aggressive, but people are just actually aggressive, right? Do I not have a right to use my weapons to the best of my ability? If everyone's like, let's just send super chats to Wake so he can insult me, how could you even
it
call me out for like shooting some shots back?
you're good at it, but I just think that it is um well, I don't think it actually works in your favor, because like the goal with that would be to, because the thing is, like, you have a lot of criticisms of women, but one of the
I like
biggest,
this is everybody.
okay,
Let's
it's
talk about the women the most.
okay, but one of the biggest criticisms I think one could have of women is that instead of being aggressive, they're passive aggressive, and which is almost the
That
same.
doesn't bother me.
It's
I'll be
almost the
honest.
same as what you're talking about. No, it's almost the same as what we were just talking about. Like a guy that's in the friend zone, he's being led on, and she's afraid to tell him. She might be giving like subtle hints, and he's not getting it. That happens a lot too, and like and he like is just not sophisticated enough. I think usually it's like, and you're 20 years old,
Well,
and he doesn't understand that, like, she's saying that she doesn't like you.
but I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's babying these men. I don't think
I
it's that they're
agree.
not sophisticated. I think that they have hope, and I think hope is a lot different than not having sophistication.
Sure.
Because I think one thing that we also have to factor in, right, is we do tell young men when they're young that one, women don't care about looks, two, women care about your personality, and three, women like nice guys. This is the script that we tell these young men. So it's like they're going into to battle with faulty equipment, basically, when they're trying to court women, which is information that's not helpful or conducive, or information that isn't quite correct or quite tailored well. So to me, it's like it isn't so much that they don't it's more they don't understand what they know is wrong. Not that there's so much they lack sophistication.
Okay, well, another way to say that then is hope is another way you could say lack of wisdom. That hope is a delusion. Like their life experience shows you like more, and you are better able to judge your reality around you. So
Okay, a
naivety and stuff, I would
little
say,
bit, yeah, a little naive, yeah.
yeah.
I'll give you that. A little naive.
Um, and that hope scares women. And that, but that they need to be willing to snuff it out. You have to snuff it out. Like the hope
Or
is
they
the
or
thing that,
they could date or they could date the man. Maybe he is a great person.
well, yeah, sure.
Maybe
If
they're
she
maybe
if
they're
she
going
wants
their own
to, yeah,
way.
like sure. But if she doesn't, which I think is often the case, then I mean it's probably often the case that she does too. But I think more likely she doesn't, and she needs to be willing to snuff out his fucking hope. Okay,
Yeah. But
he
but at the same time though, Smith, I think they don't snuff out the hope because they like the benefits. Because essentially they have a pseudo boyfriend. They have a boyfriend in reserve. They have this dude willing to do so much for them. I think that's where it comes with kindness and strength of character to do that. Because it's also he benefits me.
I
And I don't have to give him anything. I
I
think I
don't
think a
really
lot of
think
women really
that.
like that.
I don't think that's the case. I think that that might be the case with some women, but
Well,
most
yeah, some. Yeah, I wouldn't say
I
all,
don't.
but
I think most of the time they are not fucking psychopaths. Like I do
I don't
think
think you
that.
have to be psychopath to do that.
I think it becomes so I think that snuffing out the hope, that's what I'm saying they're unwilling to do, is a fact in the kernel of
Wouldn't
it.
they have to be a psychopath to do that as well?
No, that's what I'm getting at. So what I'm saying
Okay,
is
fine.
that becomes more confusing when you also are getting like he's being nice to you and you're like, oh shit, like I really appreciate you being nice. People aren't usually this nice to me, or like I like this gift or whatever. I like really appreciate that, and then you're like, and then you have this confusing like, but also like I'm really freaked out because I can tell that he likes me, but also I really like this about him, and also I don't want to make him feel bad, and also I and it's like, well, why can't we just go on exactly like this? Why can't we just keep doing this? And that's also naivety on her part too.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that men would be, because the guy in that situation is also naive, and I just that's why I said it's like early 20s type behavior. I think that you figure that like in your 30s, like there is way less playing games. You
Yeah, but you have to get to your 30s, and after that, there's a lot of people that are jaded and frustrated and have kids and debt. That I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it's just like I think it's when you get into that age, you just stop playing the games because you feel like you don't have the time and you don't have the patience, and you're just really stressed out, and you're kind of just above it all at that point. But it's not really a positive thing. It's just more like a defeated thing. It's just like, okay, well, we're
Well,
here, you know.
that's bullshit, dude. No,
So,
it's not defeated. It's
well,
like
I think it's pretty defeated. But go
I
ahead.
think that yeah, but if you say it's defeated, what you're saying is the games are good, but we're both talking about how the games are bad. So I think that I think it's self-respect. I think it's self-respect and experience, and like um I'm not going to let someone like pull me around like on a leash. I know what I'm worth. I know what I want, and if like and I know what to do to get that, and if it's not working out, I'm more able to see it. I just think that it's self-respect and experience.
I don't know if that's correlated with being 30 though. I think
Just
you could get that at any point in time in your life.
sure. Yeah, but I'm just saying
But
generally.
I think the thing that the issue that I'm kind of having with the with age comes wisdom thing in regards to dating specifically is that it doesn't seem to be the case, right? That like people get to the ripe old age of 30 and it finally makes sense. It seems more from what I've seen, multiple different stories and examples, is they do just give up and they do quote unquote settle. Now I don't like the concept of settling, and we can get into that in a moment, but it seems it isn't that it's two wise, intelligent people who have recognized, you know, their worth and their desire and how to have a family. It's more two people who are like, well, there's no one else left, so I'll pick you, and then they'll pick me, and it's like, well, that's it. Um, doesn't seem to be the case. And I remember, Destiny made a point like this. Not even just Destiny. There's a couple of people make this point that the more you date, right, the more experience you collect and the better you get at it. And it's like, well, in theory, that does sound logical because everything else in life works that way, except when it comes to dating and you look at the way people relate to it. They have traumatic stories, they have jaded feelings, they have frustrations with the opposite sex. It doesn't seem like they get better and wiser and kinder. It seems they get more upset and frustrated, and that's why I say that it seems more they're defeated. It doesn't.
Okay.
It's not. It doesn't seem like it's a positive thing when
Okay,
they get there.
well, that's where we disagree. Well, I agree on one part. This is what this is one way. I think you just fucking ugh, Jesus. I like you don't piss. I'm trying. You piss people. I see what it is. It's okay. It's especially on panels when people are all trying to make different points. Um, I think that we are all pretty miserable, and our partners are all going to also be miserable. And when we date them, we're going to realize how miserable and traumatic like being in an intimate relationship with someone is. Like being intimate with them means you're exposed to like whatever shitty things about them too, as well as the good things. And we are fed this idea of like this romantic fairy tale type thing that love is, and we learn exactly what it is to be and be loved and to love someone else, and how much work that is, and how traumatic it is. I do agree though that we do get fucked up, and we all end up like having like shit, that baggage from old relationships that end up affecting our new ones, and that sucks. But also on top of that, I do think that we're like what you set are describing as being jaded and stuff. I'm seeing as being honest. Like it's not like you could be jaded, but I'm saying that what I'm describing is not being jaded. It's being like I'm expecting you to be a fucked up, scummy scumbag person, just like I am sometimes. You know what I mean? And so I know I'm gonna learn. Like we're dating, and I'm gonna learn what is shitty about you. And it's like, well, like that's part of dating. You know, I'm gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to deal with me. There's no escaping it.
See, I think perhaps you and I might be on that wavelength. I don't know if that's the general thought process with people when they date. And I'll say, especially women, and this is why people get upset with me because then I make statements like that. It doesn't. It seems that you and I kind of understand that people are gonna have some type of idiosyncrasy or some type of problem, some type of issue, and it's up to us to kind of question whether we're gonna deal with it or not, and that's totally our right to do
And
so.
yeah, if we are, make room for it. And
Exactly. It's totally within our rights to deal with it. And if we accept it, we have to accept it. I think you and me, we understand that. But when I look at all the different I guess posts I see on Reddit, TikToks I see, videos on YouTube, like when I see like consistently, there's more defeatism, so to speak, than positivity. Like just the other day, I saw there's this Melanie Murphy video where Melanie was talking about how she got over her fear of abandonment with her husband, and I'm like, why did it take so long for me to see some of this good stuff, right? And then I went down. There's multiple different like abandonment issue videos that I see a lot of different ladies produce. And it's like this is some good stuff. Why isn't this getting the hundreds of thousands of views, right? I'm over here, I'm clicking like, I'm sharing it because those are the stuff that we really need. Anna Kana makes some really good little bite-sized videos of like a book that she read, and then she'll kind of like summarize little different points and then say, "Yo, here's the book. Go read this." The thing is, it's like the content's there, it exists, but overwhelmingly it's this negative view that people resonate with the most, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. It seems as you get older, there's just more frustration in
because
people being
it's
upset than like really growing and being better.
well, yeah, but you're judging humanity based on the fucking internet, and this is something that really
There's
frustrates.
still there's people, right?
This is a
Go
different
ahead.
topic, but it really frustrates
Mhm.
me. So maybe I'm just more optimistic, but I believe that a big problem is the social media companies, how they're handling shit. But even more specifically, the fact that we're intermingled, like on Twitter and shit, like every platform. But like, I'm just like thinking about like on Twitter, there are fucking 15-year-olds and like shit that are in there. They're like retarded and crazy. 15-year-olds are not developed enough to be good people. They genuinely are not able to, like you are.
No, I wouldn't go that
Personality,
far.
no, I would, because personality
That
disorders
sounds
are like you failing to grow up in a certain way. Like abandonment stuff that happens like in that starts to happen for you in when you're like 3 to 5. And that's why it's a really hard issue to deal with, because it's baked into you, like on a personal level. The way you're perceiving reality is always this threat engagement, where because your relationship to your parents, your ability to trust and all that is, now your relationship to everyone is skewed off, and you have to learn how to take care of yourself in a way that your parent never did. And I just think that the internet is like, if we demonetized everything and we made age verification type things so that people were like in appropriate age ranges, then the internet would be good. I think, for the most part, it would still be toxic 4chan shit, but like
But
it.
here's kind of my problem. My problem is people don't understand the internet's a tool. Social media is a tool.
Okay.
What we decide to do with that tool is contingent upon our character. What I decide to do on my YouTube channel is a reflection of my desires versus what some person decides to do on their TikTok is a reflection of their desires. If some, like, let's say we have
Yeah,
F1 McGee who wants to tell all these stories of all of these girls he had sex with at the club. That's a reflection of him, right? The
yeah,
tool, the iPhone, the camera, that's all. That's not the problem. The problem is
no.
he's an asshole and he doesn't care about people and he wants clout for
But
it.
why is he an asshole?
Well, he's an asshole. He doesn't care about people's feelings and emotions. That's the issue.
Yeah, but why? I don't, I
Why
don't,
doesn't he care? I mean,
I don't.
I don't know why he doesn't care, but I
And
mean,
that's why I think that's where I think that we're probably going to I'm trying to I'm keep framing this like there's something wrong with you, but I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'm okay.
I don't
Um,
mind. I don't, go ahead.
no, it's shitty. That's where I think we disagree heavily because my analysis, and I noticed this last time we were talking, doesn't end where it's like, okay, well, this person's a shitty person. Well, no, this person's a shitty person within a system. Like a relationship is a system. Like there are different types, and like a family is a
Well, to be
system.
honest, I don't think we disagree there. I think my commentary stops there so people can catch up to me and then we can go deeper. But I think you and I are caught up there, so I think we would still agree on this point. But go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so like because like if you stop, yeah, if you stop there, like that's just the seed of all like discrimination and bigotry, where you stop it like if you use statistics, you can say that black people are more violent and shit, but like they're violent because they're
It's a
poor and shit.
misunderstanding, actually, right? The thing that's really interesting is people like to use the concept of per capita, which I can kind of understand intuitively. You'd say relative to the population of black people, the amount of crime that they commit should be a lot lower than you would say, because people love to do this, what white people do, right?
Mhm.
And technically it is overwhelming. I think the only crime stat where it's like similar and black people do more is I think it's homicide, I think, when I was looking at it. But across the board, every violent crime apart from that, it is lower. You could probably suggest it should be even lower than what it is, but it is technically by the numbers lower. The biggest problem there is what people don't understand are two things. One, criminality is actually rare in humans. Most people are not criminals, and most people don't actually desire to do violent things to each other, or at the very least, won't do those violent things. And two, what a lot of people don't grasp is relative to the general population of all or most black people that exist, they're not criminals. So even if more violent crime happens at the hands of black people, there are more black people who don't do that. So the racism, even with the statistics they want to use, it's still illogical and doesn't make sense. But
I think it is logical, but it doesn't make it
well,
okay.
it isn't logical actually, right? Because again, if you were to go down the street and count all the black people that you met today who didn't hurt you, you would find that all of them didn't hurt you.
Well, that's not a guarantee,
That's
but
wrong. It is a guarantee actually, right? Just go
well,
walk down the street.
I mean, yeah, I mean, sure, but okay, but let's say that you are a 7-Eleven owner, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
So what environment are you on?
yeah,
Oh, so it's the environment, not the skin color or the genetics. Interesting.
sure. No, I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm
Oh,
not going to disagree with
thank
that.
you. So
That's why
when
I
you
was
start
thinking. That's
thinking,
why I was trying to think of an environment that would be kind of mixed. Like, so you're on like the border of like a rich area and a poor area, okay? And when you see black people go into your store, you're like, these people are more likely to rob me, and
the
that
rich white
that
people
might
never
be true.
rob.
That might be true, but it's also racist, and it's also fucked up to all the people that aren't like gonna rob you and shit. And but it doesn't. It's also true. Like I think that it's
Well, black people will be more likely to rob you because there are more black people that go to the store.
that's true.
But most black
Um,
people who went to the store didn't rob you.
that's true.
When you start thinking, it doesn't make sense. But most people they don't think when they want to be racist. So
I think that this it's just a statistical thing that makes people dehumanize people.
well, it's an excuse, is what it is.
I'm not
And
gonna just
people use these statistics as an excuse a lot, like a lot. This is part of the reason why I don't like using statistics, is because people misinterpret and misunderstand data, in general. So
okay, but you okay, so I agree.
Mhm.
Not entirely. I do think that like I think that you theoretically can be safer by being racist in a certain area in the United States. That's true probably, but
And then you just
that
open
doesn't make it not shitty and fucked up too.
the only problem is if you focus on the danger of one particular group, it actually opens up the door for you to be hurt by another group because as it turns out, once again, logically, criminality is not it's not found in race, it's found in people. You can find a rich white person who will go in and probably hurt you. You say, well, it's unlikely. Well, it doesn't matter if it's unlikely. The problem is what? Them trying to hurt you. It's not their race. Which means what you should be doing is prioritizing avoiding bad things happening to you, not particular groups of people. But
I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm just saying that it's not totally irrational. I think that it's bad for society, but I think that it like is a very self-protective, short-sighted attitude to have.
well,
That
I think it's comfortable. I don't think it's actually protective, but yeah. I think it's easy to kind of group people and say do not engage, avoid them. But again, I think if you sit down and you're really forced to think about it, you kind of realize that ultimately, if someone pulls a gun out at you, is the problem really because they were black, or is it the gun?
it's a
And
gun.
what's really the issue,
But
right? There you go. So,
yeah, sure. So you don't like statistics because of that fact. Um,
well, there's plenty of reasons why I don't like it. But
but you do
that's
generalize about women.
usually when I'm talking about modern women, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that you're doing the same thing. That's why I brought it up.
You think so?
Yeah,
How so?
because if you're using like statistics, then like you're like, oh well, I have a leg to stand on with my generalization. But like if you believe that like most women are doing this and this, I don't think it's not a worthless conversation to have. But also, you are generalizing, and it does the same shitty thing to a lot of women that racism does to people of different races.
I don't think so. I'll tell you why, right? One, the generalizations that I make are very easy to change and overcome, and that's kind of the point. If you're a woman and you say, and you can just easily respond with, "I'm already a compassionate person," and then okay, then it applies. I don't continue. But if you're not a compassionate person, then you have to be challenged, you have to change, you have to do something different. I don't think that every person is the same, but it's also very clunky dialogue to have to say not all specifically this group X modern women. At a certain point it's like guys, like I don't think it's every single woman. Can we
Okay,
not,
okay,
do
but
this
okay, but
forever,
regardless, well, yeah, but you could say the same thing about talking about like crime statistics. Like you could be like, oh, of course, like most black people aren't going to do crime, but and
Well, but that's important because again, criminality in humans itself is extremely rare. People don't think that because of the news cycle and all of that, but it is statistically by the very statistics we want to
of
use
course,
the fact that it is. So what I'm saying is factually true about crime statistics and criminality. What I'm also saying is an ill-defined large group of women. And it is ill-defined. I can't say every single woman. I can't say most of them, but I can say predictively, if you were to go try to talk to women, what's the experience you're normally going to have?
okay.
And
So
if I
you're
can
saying
predict that,
okay,
well, then we can say it's
so
generally true.
the argument that you're saying is with the black people, and this is a functional argument that the black people crime statistic thing is talking about a very small amount of people.
Exactly. It's
And
not predictive.
but you're saying that when you're talking about women, you're talking about most
It
women.
is
That's
predictive, yes.
actually most women.
It's more predictive
It's
than if
more
you were
because like
talking about
with the black
criminality in
crime
general.
statistics shit, it's like like statistically like lower your chance of getting stabbed by 0.01% or something by like being racist. But like depending on where you live, but with like the women thing, you're saying that it's like the most likely scenario that there's going to be certain things that are going to happen.
Yeah. Like, for example, generally speaking, most women want men that make more money than them. Would you dispute that? Like no matter where they fall economically, generally speaking, predictably, if you were to encounter a woman, is she going to want you to
Yeah,
make less money or
more,
more money?
more.
Okay, well then there you go.
Yeah, that's a
Contrast with black people. Are you going to walk into a room and then just have every single black person rob you? Are you going to walk into a room and have one black person rob you?
right.
There you go. See,
Right.
so that's the
So
difference.
it is different, but I still think that it is worth the comparison is worth bring up that I think it still has this generalization still have a shitty effect, and more than on the women. But I think that a lot of the stuff you're saying, if you don't want to go into talking about it on an individual level, like people who, well, the money one doesn't is a different type of conversation. If you're talking about like the way that women behave, like the expectations thing is a social thing. The way women actually like behave is a individual thing. Um, but if you're doing that, then there are women that are not shitty, okay, or like absolutely. So if you're
I wouldn't
talking,
dispute that.
so you should just like if you're making statements, I feel like you're like an incel factory in some way, because if men like listen to you, then they're going to be afraid of women. But what they should do
No,
is just advocate
I,
for
I don't. I don't.
themselves.
I disagree. I don't think I'm an incel factory. I think women are the incel factory.
So there's a
I
lot of
don't
women
have.
that
I
are
don't.
incel
I don't
factories.
have to, because here's the thing. Like all I've done is I've recognized the pattern and just not even put names to it half the time, but just explained them, called them out, and then gave the challenge to young ladies to be different and to be better. How is that an incel factory?
Well, that's
If I
because okay.
say
So
if I go ahead.
but when you bring this up to a young lady,
Mhm.
um, so a lot of your criticisms, so you have a lot of, and I do too, have a lot of criticism of women, but if you levy them all on her, actually most likely those all don't resonate with her. Maybe one or two do, but a lot of them probably won't actually be speaking to her behavior, and like they'll just like freak her the fuck out. You know what I mean? That's what
Well,
happened.
if it doesn't apply, then you let it fly, right? Like for example, right? Let's say that I make a point that a lot of women generally make a list to discount men, right? Like literally before you even get to the first date, they'll say, okay, is it this, let's say I say like a significant fraction of ladies do that, and by doing that, you could filter out potentially just great men who are kind and honorable if you just discount them offhand based on something just pretty arbitrary and may not even be important. Let's say I say that, and then a woman comes along and says, I don't have a list. Then I say, okay, well, good job. That's it. I mean, I don't like, even if there's women who aren't like that, then I'm not talking to them or I'm not talking about them. Then they can continue as is. If a woman says, well, my list is all about the seven virtues of Christianity, right? Or like, it's not specifically Christianity, but like more Christian thoughts. I would say, okay, that's excellent. Okay, good job, good idea. You're more talking about his character than like how tall he is or the money or social stuff. If you're talking more about his character, that's a pretty good list. So there's always nuance here. At least I feel there's always nuance. There's always room to think about this stuff. But it's just I'm gonna be honest with you. It's really difficult to just say consistently and specifically, not all, not every, not that, not this. It's
But
like
when I
at
talk
what
about
point are you
women,
gonna
I,
accept that I understand that there's some nuance here, that there's different people?
when I talk about women, I don't do that so much, but I just every time I make a statement about women, I feel you're sitting on the floor. I really appreciate you're like
Mhm.
you're really putting in the work to for my stream, like being on the floor or whatever. Wait, you were playing League of
I'm always
Legends? Were
on the
you
floor.
gaming on the floor?
Yeah, I'm always on the floor.
Oh, okay
There's
then,
nothing special.
whatever
I'm
then.
always
Okay,
no.
whatever.
The reason why I'm always sitting on the floor is to stretch. It's not you. It's I. Every stream you ever see me, I've been on the floor.
Yeah, it's
I'm
the
always on
same
the
angle. All right. Um, well, every time I make a generalization statement about women, I feel embarrassed. But I
floor.
do
Why?
it. I still do it
Why do you
because I
feel
know
embarrassed? Why?
women, and like the women that I date and the women I talk to, they're not going to meet all these like generalizations. So I'm like, I feel like I'm letting them down because I love them and I care about them. And so if I'm gonna,
So, so Smith, just as an olive branch, do you think that maybe my experiences are different than yours?
Sure.
and maybe the women that I know influence the generalizations I make.
Absolutely, but that's what I'm talking about. So the embarrassment that I'm talking about. This is why people, and it's honestly not fair to you. This is why people will start like getting personal and they'll start making like incel comments about you and stuff. It's because they're like, so with me, they might be able to say, and I mean sometimes maybe they're not, but with me, I might be able to get away with it more because they'll be like, oh, this guy's like, it got this humiliated about it. It's clear that he knows women that aren't like this, and so he's trying to stand up for those women in a way. But with you, they're like, because you don't know women that aren't like that. Honestly, you are part of the problem. If the women that you know are all shitty, you need to be better at meeting women that aren't like that.
So, but God forbid they be better people.
You
do, you,
can't.
do you see what I'm saying though? Do you see what I mean? Like, what's interesting is on all levels and a lot of dating advice and just life advice, if a man has a problem with women, it's always you need to do something. And to me I say maybe he does. But why can't I also say women should too?
No, but yes,
I'm not saying men shouldn't. I'm saying women should
yes,
to in
but
addition
but
to
no,
as
no,
well as
no, but there's there's two different conversations happening though. So the criticism about you, like you need to be better at like finding people, putting yourself in situations where you're going to be around people that are going to care about you and have healthy interactions with you. That's one conversation. Then there's and people might bring that up unfairly to you in the wrong context. But the other conversation is like making general conversation about society. But what I think that you seem to do, and you just kind of did it, is you're like, well, how, when I was making the comment about the personal, where I'm saying like, if your personal experience with women is like that, then you do need to like just for your own health, like you need to figure out how you are, like, just so you can be a healthy, happy person, like figure out what ways you are making that the reality you live in, because you can find women that aren't like that. That's a different conversation than, because then what you said was that, well, how dare me say that they should change? You can't force the shitty women to change. You can talk about it on a social level and like have these bigger conversations, but if you want to be around like people that are better, you can't force shitty people to be better for you. You just find better people.
right. So then why do you put that expectation on men? You can't force women to be better, but you could force men to be better.
No, it's so on a personal level, you can't force, but you can have conversations about how to become better.
So
So
here's what I find. So just pause. Let's have a meta conversation. What's really interesting here is you are telling
you're gonna
me
say something that I
I
partly agree with,
but
but I
it's
also
interesting though. But it's interesting though, right? Because you're telling me that I need to find better people and get better at finding better people. I accept that
sure,
100%, right? I'm not even going to say that I actually have. I'm not even going to
me
defend myself.
too.
I'm going to accept
This
that.
is
I'm going to
something
accept
everybody has to do.
100%, and that's beautiful, right? Now here's what's interesting. If I say women should be better people, you can tell me that I can do something different. I can't tell
No,
women
no,
to do something. You see
no,
what I'm
no, no.
saying?
But that's what I'm saying. You're conflating the two. You're conflating the social. See, you're conflating the social. You're
But that's
conflating
the thing, though,
You're
right?
conflating. No, no, no. Like,
Mhm.
if we were
But
talking, and so wait,
mhm,
this is what I thought you were gonna say, and this is where I would
mhm,
agree with you. If we're talking to an individual woman, let's say and she's like
mhm.
up for this conversation, because like we both signed up for this. It'd be different if we're like going up to her like some woman that didn't want to have this conversation, just started criticizing her on a personal level, but she was up for it, and we're
Mhm.
saying, you are like you're contribute if you're around like all these shitty men and stuff, like you're contributing to that too. You like, and the way that you are treating men is causing these dynamics in your relationships, stuff like that. Those type of criticisms are totally, people will shut them down because people hate
They will.
criticizing women.
I
Yes,
know they
people
will. Yeah,
people do hate criticizing
I've
women.
experienced it. That's
And
the thing,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. But that is a different conversation than the one about the social, general conversation about how we socialize like men and women, and
Like,
how in the relationship, socially between men and women.
but this is why I have to defend incels, right? I know people get so scared, but I'm not
I
scared
defend
because
them.
because these men aren't just vicious monsters, right?
Sure.
They can become, but Ted Bundy was an incel and he was a vicious monster too. So it's like to me, it's all about character and morality and doing what's right and good versus evil. But we'll put that to the side. If we're gonna talk about just like with incels, people don't do that on an individual basis with incels. They do paint with a broad brush about society. And people do say that if you are a lonely man, there's something wrong with you and you need to be better. A lot of people don't have the grace that some of these men are just normal, average people and they have a really tough time having just normal relationships with women. They're not ugly, they're not terrible, they're not bad, but it's like I'm on Tinder, I'm on Hinge, I got professional photos, I go to the gym, and now I go and I talk to a woman and she's using me as a meal ticket. Like
Okay.
that, and that's just normal. It's a normal average guy, and he can resonate with quote unquote incels in their quote unquote mom's basement. The thing is, when it comes to men, people are very comfortable with broad brushes and broad strokes about society, as you're saying it, and telling them that they have to be better people, and if that they're
Well,
alone,
no, no,
they
you're doing
tell
it
them
again. You're
you deserve
conflating.
it.
Okay, no, so it's actually not
Mhm,
fair to do the
mhm.
broad because there's like I said,
Okay.
there's two conversations. So if you're going to do the personal, like, well, you
Hmm.
can paint like so the you need to get better is like the pull yourself up by the bootstraps argument, and it's
They
true
always
that
tell me.
that hmm? What was
They
that?
always tell young men. They always
Right,
tell
right, right,
young
right,
men
right.
they have to
But
get better, no matter what.
and yeah, and it's almost not even useful because of the amount that young men hear that kind of shit. It's almost like to the point of being unuseful, but it is true. But also, like this is something that I do care about, and I've talked about quite a bit. Like incels are like just like, sad, like lonely people, and they're struggling, and um the amount that young men have to improve themselves um to get where they need to be is a lot more than the amount that young women do. Um,
Always,
and that's just because of the weight that we,
always.
and this is there's different arguments for why that is, and I hate it regardless of why. But it is how it is. Women have I think Tinder has made it so much fucking worse, way worse. Um,
Mm.
like probably like 100 times worse. But
I think so. I think over the years, Tinder. I think Tinder may have started with quote unquote good intentions, but it's definitely just turned into a market to just
yeah,
get more men to keep feeding money into it. I think at first it was just very simple, and it became a monster.
yeah. And now like women using Tinder have this weird relationship with dating now where they're like looking at it
Yeah.
like they're getting all these weird messages and all these like socially like awkward men and stuff, and they're using it like a grocery list, and it feels awkward. It like I've talked to women about this. It feels really unnatural to them too. It's like weird, and I just, I mean, so like what I just did there, I added in like also about women. It's also awkward for them because they're not like monsters. They're not like sociopaths that are like taking advantage of the system. It's a system that like is also shitty for them in different ways. In this particular way, it's worse for men in the dating market, but in some ways, it really sucks for women too. Um, that's something we don't do for men. We don't
Hmm.
do we. I do.
You don't have grace, basically.
Right,
That's
right.
essentially what
Because
you're saying. You give women
I
grace.
have grace for
Hmm.
women.
Hmm.
But people don't have a lot as much grace for men. Not no, no they
At all.
often don't have it all.
Yeah.
It's much more rare. Um,
Hmm.
and I feel like when people do have grace for women, it pisses you off.
I don't think so. No, it doesn't piss me off. I think what upsets me is the fact that they have the. So let me go back to go forward. Right. What annoys me is the idea of equality is a lie. It's BS. The idea that we're supposed to socially treat men and women the same is a bunch of BS. And essentially, a lot of the time, I'm calling that out and saying that you don't even actually believe this, and this is nonsense. And you're creating a false system and a false dichotomy in the world that you're not living up to. And when I point out that you're not living up to it, you get upset with me for pointing it out, than you not living up to it, right? So to go back to go forward. I don't get upset at the fact that you have grace for women. In fact, not you at all, Smith, because you have grace for men. So it's not you specifically, but
It's when
in a lot of
people,
those different panels or conversations, it's you will give this grace to women while simultaneously, these aren't conservatives, these are more leftist liberal people, have zero grace for men. And it's like, well, aren't you the main people talking about social
so it does
equality? Aren't
piss
you
you
the
off
main
though.
people talking about treating people the same?
Okay. And
It's it's not
when that
it's
happens,
more the hypocrisy. It's
right.
not it's not it's
I
not the grace for
understand.
women.
When
So
that,
specifically, it's the hypocrisy. Let's just be clear,
yeah,
right?
no, yeah, yeah. And when that happens, it optically makes you look like you hate grace for women.
And I think
It does.
and I'm glad, right? Because it gives me another opportunity to again point out the hypocrisy in real time. And hopefully the people with the eyes to see, the more wise people can see that this is just an incongruent worldview,
But
right? Because again, the issue isn't because one, if you listen to what I'm saying, very many times I say that men should be virtuous, good people. At no point do I ever take that away. I've never taken away. In any live stream you've ever seen me do, you'll see me be very consistent. You can go back to all of them. You can watch all my videos. It's very consistent. Men should be virtuous. And as such, I've already granted that. I don't need to continue to talk about this. I've already granted men should be virtuous. What I do is I give the other side of that. Everyone has everything to say about young men. I just say, well, maybe young ladies should do something too.
okay, but what you're doing is shutting down grace for women instead of adding grace for men, which I think is the appropriate thing to do. It's like this
I don't
it's
think
like
so
the
at all. I
fucking
always have grace for men, though. That's not fair. I always do.
right. But
Doesn't matter the time when I have it.
when people have grace for women in these conversations and they add, well, but this is how it is for women. This is why they're like that. And then nobody was willing to do that for men, where they're like, this is why men are like that. Like so men are shitty this way, but this is why. And I feel like shutting down that grace, as we're calling it, like shutting down those caveats about women that I think are appropriate, is not as productive as adding those points for the men, because
I don't think
it's just
so.
being it just becomes shitty.
So the reason why I disagree with that is because I think that we have too much grace for women, which is why I don't want to continue to go down. Yeah, but because or yeah, but this is tough for them. It's like okay, that's tough for them, but they still have a responsibility to be good people. And the issue is that like the grace forgives any misgivings that they do. Whereas with men, there's zero. Men have hyper responsibility. Men are always accountable. Men have a hyper duty to do things that just aren't even in their control. I'll give you a great example actually. I was just watching this one TikTok and this woman, she does this whole thing. I made a video response to her a little bit back ago where she talks about ways that men can help women be comfortable when they approach and talk to them. And it's like there's only so much we can do to help women feel comfortable. It's literally their feeling, it's their state of being, it's how they are in
Yes,
space and time.
that is a
There's only
big
so much men can do.
yes,
There's so much.
yes.
And yet she's got all this advice for us. And I'm just like, at what point can we say, okay, listen, we've given men all the tools. When are women gonna have grace and forgiveness for us too? At what point can we say that?
Okay. I like to that conversation you started there is one that I could be that I mean I say that it's a conversation because that could be an entire conversation, is that one specific thing about
That
how
was
to make women feel more comfortable. What is going on there is both shitty. It's really shitty for men and really shitty for women too, because what
mhm.
happens is like she's not allowed to have negative feelings, and so your job as a man in a relationship with a woman is to constantly take care of her so that she never experiences any negative feelings, and anytime she does, you're at fault. And that really makes it really sucks for you,
From the beginning.
and
Yeah, from
it
go to
also
the
sucks for
entirety.
her.
Yeah.
It also sucks for her in the long run too, and it eventually it'll break down, or you'll have to
You are you're
become
100% right.
yeah, and yeah, that's something that I think that well, not a lot of men realize is happening, or they're like they
Well, I think the reason why they can't realize it's happening is because they're not even allowed the opportunity to have the experience. Like you and I have
Well,
the experience, right? Like I assume you've like approached women before, like you've had girlfriends, you've talked,
mhm.
like I assume, right? So you and I, we've had the opportunity to have those experiences, right? Where I've had positive experience where I approached a woman, got her phone number, got to hang out with her, took her on a date. Like I've had that. You've had that. But there's a lot of young men, they can't get through the front door. And there's so much pressure that gets placed on them who can't get through the front door to keep doing, keep going, keep trying. But there's no kindness, there's no grace to them. And it's like, okay, we got it. We keep telling them, keep coming to the table, coming to the
Hold on, hold
table.
on, hold
But
on,
there's no food to eat.
hold on, hold on. Well, what they need is actually to be comfortable with a lack of kindness too, because what we're talking about here is a woman's negative feelings. Um, Most men don't know that they're allowed to not feel responsible for making sure that women don't have negative feelings. They feel like if a woman around them in an interaction with them has negative feelings, that they're in the wrong and they need to fix it immediately. Most men don't know that they're allowed to actually not have to take care of a woman's feelings like that. She should be able to take care of her own feelings to some, like, there's a point where everybody needs somebody to take care of them, but like if it's just some minor like thing, and most relationships end up being like that. So I think that these men need to learn that they can get like the kindness that they think that they want is not the actual like, to truly be kind in this dynamic we're talking about is the woman has her negative feelings, is upset, and doesn't make the man deal with it. She's like, I'm upset, I'm fucking pissed, but I'm not, that's my problem. You can
Mhm.
be here with me and I'm pissed off at you, but you don't have to fucking fix it right now. That's kindness. That is very profound kindness. Um,
Yeah, you're not wrong. No, I agree.
but it doesn't feel like it.
I don't know if it wouldn't feel that. I think it would. I think
No, because she's pissed.
yeah, she's pissed, but
Yeah.
she's like, I'm okay. Just let me handle it. I'll be all right.
Well, no, no, no. Look, no. I'm saying she's pissed. She's like, I fucking hate your guts right now. Like if she,
That's a bit much. You probably shouldn't say that to someone.
I'm not saying that she's actually gonna say that. I'm just saying she feels that
Okay.
way. She's like boiling, right? She's boiling at you. Um, and for her to be willing to not expect, like, because women do are taught that men will take care of them in these ways, and it's bad for them, and it hurts them. Um, and it,
Electronics
and it
are gonna
hurts the men,
happen.
and it hurts the men. It hurts everybody. Like, that's the relationship you have with a child, and if we are like
Well, ironically, we actually still kind of teach children
for
that they do need to emotionally regulate. Actually, I see it all the
yeah,
time. We actually do. It's
that's
ironically it's actually within a male female relationship where the man has to regulate the woman's emotion and his own.
yeah,
Children don't even get treated like that.
yeah. Actually, that's a really interesting point, and that really is giving me a lot of epiphanies about the mental health of women, because because I'm sure that there are a lot of women who this is the case,
Mhm.
that will have a childhood where they're parentified, they're forced to emotionally regulate, um, and not given that space, and then they learn growing up that men will take care of me in a way that my parents failed me, and then that is like a saving grace for them, and then when a man fails to do it, then they're freaked the fuck out because, like,
Mhm.
what the fuck is wrong with you, dad? You know what I mean? And yeah,
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
because if we
Yeah,
gave that
definitely. I
same
think
if
there's
we gave that same salvation to men, they would end up being just as, toxic too.
that's
So
entirely possible. Yeah, I think you're right. I think whether it's gender, I because you made a really good point. If we treated men like women, they probably would act the same. And it's like, yeah, probably without putting those brakes or that virtue I keep on alluding to. Yeah, probably. In fact, think about a great example is actually the guys at Fresh and Fit, right? The guys at Fresh and Fit, they're hedonistic and promiscuous guys because they don't have the honor, or they don't have the stop gaps that kind of tell them that just because I can do something doesn't mean I should. And I don't think all women are promiscuous, by the way. Don't go that far. But what I'm saying is that, like, if you were to take a woman that doesn't have that care for men and wants to use them, then you get the guys like Fresh and Fit. They also don't have that care. They also want to use women. And so you have two users basically playing this stupid dating game to see
Yeah.
who can use who, before the other loses their resources.
But
So,
yeah, I mean, what it really breaks down to is that both sides of this dynamic don't know how to be intimate with another person.
yeah.
Because to be intimate with another person, like I was saying before, like it's like disgusting. Like eventually you're gonna find a place where you're like, I fucking hate you. I don't like this about you. This is repulsive to me. Eventually there's something about everybody, you know?
I don't know. I think, see, the thing is, I think a lot of people experience that, but I don't know if it has to be that way. I don't think it
I'm
has to be
being
a point where you
dramatic.
can discuss
I'm being
it,
dramatic.
But even like, I know you're being dramatic with the disgust, but it's like the idea that, like, you get to a point where you just really don't like the person. It's like it
We
doesn't have to
just
be
don't
that
like
way. Let's say 'cause
something
you're
about them.
friends.
I'm just saying something about like you in an intimate relationship, you do like them overall, but there's something about them that like, oh, like this I really don't like about you. And there's nobody that you
Yeah,
could ever become intimate with that's gonna there's not gonna be something that you really don't like about them.
yeah. I think that's a little par for the course, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying
So
though.
that's why. So then I think you can't be okay. No offense, but I don't think you can call that being disgusted, because I think that goes a
Sure.
little bit beyond the just something I don't like. So that's kind of where we were butting
I'm
heads there.
trying.
But I get
I'm trying to go to the most extreme example where, like, I guess
you.
being disgusted is one way that could manifest. It's an extreme way that could manifest. But
Hmm.
I'm sure that that is not like that. That probably happens in plenty of relationships where you find something about somebody that your partner that does actually disgust you, and you still love them, and you still think that they still turn you on. But like there's something about maybe them or maybe their sexuality or something that like is like, oh, I don't like that. It's not. And people don't know how to do that, and live with that. um, and I think that goes down to our relationship with our parents. But the way that we cope with that is by having these really shallow and very transactional, shallow relationships with a very transactional mindset about them.
Yeah.
Because that intimacy, you're trusting them to live with the things they don't like about you, and you're like, I know I can trust you to live with it. And when you get to a place where you're unable to do that, you see all relationships as transactional, because nobody would ever put up with that about me. I'm not gonna, and you're like, I'll do this for you if you give this to me. It's like there's no trust or acceptance there.
Hmm. Yeah. There's no grace.
Yeah,
That might be
grace
the word
is,
of the stream right there, man.
yeah.
Grace might be it, man. But no, I agree. I don't. I think you're spitting facts, man. I think one thing that I think is really interesting though is because we've done two panels together.
I
Has
think
it
so
been?
too. Yeah.
I think two. Yeah, you always say something I think is really great, really profound, really interesting, and then sometimes you say something where I'm like, I see the point, but yeah, maybe I want to pull it back a little bit. Um, yeah, I think the other day, I think it was food shops. I think I was chatting with. They have a really good opinion of you, and I have a pretty good opinion of you too. You've never been mean or rude to me. I've always found chatting with you to be really interesting. So, what I find interesting is, no offense, the amount of grace I give to the people that I talk to, but I get very little.
Yeah.
And I actually like it. I like
I
being able
know.
to combat with people, but it's just really interesting that the person that has the most fun and enjoyment and is really trying to get to these ideas is the one that people dislike the most. Like, if to have another meta conversation. The reason why I like doing it so much is to call it out and expose it. Like, what are you guys actually upset with? Because if you listen to what I'm saying, you actually have to contend with it.
That's
And
why
when you
you're like
contend
Steven
with it,
Crowder.
really, that's why I'm like saying, okay,
That's
go
what
ahead.
Steven Crowder does. Like he's like, I actually am gonna have some really good points, but I'm gonna say exactly what it is that's gonna piss you off, and then I'm gonna revel in it, and then you're gonna freak out and look like a moron, and then I'm gonna look like a genius. That's what he does.
No, it's not about me looking like a genius, I don't think. But I think it is exposing that people aren't mad at what they think they should be mad at. Or like people are assuming something like incorrect. And if you really break it down, you find that
So
it's not what you
why
usually
don't
think.
you have grace for those people then in those interactions?
Oh, I always do. I don't you've noticed I've never insulted any of them. I've never
Yeah, but you
fired off and been mean or nasty or be like, "Oh, you're like there's this one person who came and he just insulted me just for like 5 minutes. I just sat there. I just took it. I was like, whatever.
but that's
So
by
I don't.
design, motherfucker, okay?
My design. I don't think
Yeah, no,
so.
you don't do like sometimes you do a quip, but usually you don't. Usually you're just like very passive aggressive and you make it so that they're freaking out but you don't, and so like it's definitely like what you're doing.
Well, and see, the thing is, I don't think it's something I have to do. I think like that's just how I am as a person. I think you'd find even if we were like not on stream, you'd probably find I'd spend more time listening than talking. That's kind of how I've always been. Most people always say I'm pretty soft spoken, like in person. I spend a lot more time like listening than like really
No,
saying
it's
stuff, and
when
then
they
my
start,
videos and on streams, then I usually get to talk a
but
lot.
it's
But
when that they
you,
start getting pissed off that you start like smirking, and so like that's the thing.
because I find it humorous. I'm not gonna lie, I do think it's funny that they get mad that I say that because to me, I guess like if you were to put yourself in my position, you have to understand that what I'm asking for isn't jumping through fire and flame. Like what I'm asking for isn't the most egregious thing in the world. Like for example, I was just watching this kidology video on I forget the woman's name, but it's this one wife who's talking about wives kind of having an obligation to have sex with their husbands and stuff like that. Um and from my point of view, I don't even think it's a wife thing. I think it's a married partner thing. That it's actually a little cruel to withhold purposefully for a long period of time your sexual partner. Why, you ask? Because if the person does the marriage correctly, you're the last person they can ever be with. If they don't cheat, if it's not open, if you are it, that's it. And they chose you and you chose them. And so to have them locked in and then constantly say, no, 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 you're hurting them. And this is male or female. And I've seen young men, I say young men, but men do this to women too. It's not even like a wife thing. It's a married partner thing sometimes where people will do this, and I think it's a really nasty thing.
Monogamy?
That being said, not monogamy, but withholding sex from your partner.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
And so that being said, so my thing is, there's got to be a point where you, you the married person, wife or husband, accept that you are it for your partner, and there should be kindness more than anyone else but you for your married partner. You picked them, you chose them. Like no one, like this is America. It wasn't an arranged marriage. You chose them. They asked, you said yes. So when that's the case, it's not so much that there should be an obligation from the marriage. It should be you as the person decided that you're it for them, and you should be willing and loving and caring to the person you chose to be with. Now, I say all that. If someone got upset with me for that,
Marital
that's
rape.
when I smirk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Okay,
then
yeah.
they'll say,
Okay, this
and
is a
then
great
they'll say,
example.
"Oh, a
Yeah,
marital rape,"
because
and
I
I say,
can
"Oh,
see
is
exact.
that what I described? Is that what I said?"
I've literally made these points before, and so
Mhm.
yeah, so you know that it's going to
Mhm.
happen when you set the whole thing up. You know that it might trigger like people that are not able to engage. They are with you on that level, or they're just not. They're just not as fucking smart as you, I guess. But but
Well, you said it, not me, man. But
but like for lack of better words, like it's not you literally that, but
Mhm.
are engaging in a they've not thought about that, and it sounds like you're justifying like marital rape, which you're not, because
Exactly.
I've made that point before. That is like the horror that like monogamy is, and this is you are talking about it in a way that is very moralizing.
Yeah.
And I think that plays into it a lot. The way people are reacting to it, I think that you want them to react negatively. But
It isn't so much I want them.
the way that I let me the way that
Mhm,
I have that conversation is
mhm,
different. Okay, the way that so I will say that there are different. I don't know if I've said this, but there are different ways that you can end up leveraging your sex in a relationship. And a lot of them are unintentional. Like you genuinely are really frustrated in the relationship, something's not going right, and you just actually don't want to have sex with them. And that has the effect, the fucked up effect of having that leverage played over them because they want to have sex. And it's like, well, the only way I can get sex is if I succumb to your will and whatever other thing this is. And that's fucked up.
mhm.
Um, and but that's unintentional. Sometimes people actually intentionally do these things, and that's like really bad. That I would say I'm definitely gonna moralize and say that's absolutely bad. But the unintentional thing, it's not that they're like a bad person for not wanting to have sex. They're absolutely not a bad person for not wanting to have sex. Um, that's their genuine feeling.
Mhm.
But there does need to be understanding. So
This is the thing, though,
the
right?
guy or it could go either way.
Mhm,
Um, your partner isn't having sex with you because your relationship is not going well and that you're having certain arguments or something and there's a conflict that's not resolved. Either you need to learn how to live with that conflict and still be able to function as a couple, or the relationship will eventually crumble.
mhm.
You can't, but you shouldn't do is say, no, you have to fuck me. No.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing, though, right? It's not about. You see, this is the thing. When I speak about integrity, because that's the nature of what I'm getting around to. Integrity is your own personal moral code, right? It's you doing what's right, even when you don't have to, quote unquote. When there's no one around, when when it's just you on the street, do you move the trash can out of the road because you know that that could cause a hazard, right? It's when you see $20, right, and you can get away, you can take it, you say no because I know it wouldn't be right if someone took my money. That's integrity. So essentially what I'm saying is from your own personal point of view, you knowing what's right and what's good for this other person who cares about you, it's not about you being forced, it's about from your own will and desire. You should still give it back to them. Now, of course, there are particular circumstances, right? I'll give you an example again. Um, in a Kidology video, there's a comment a woman wrote that just totally missed the point, where she said, "There's a time, the only time I stopped having sex with my husband was right after I had another child, and my nether regions down there was damaged, and I said." Hey, we can't have sex until I'm healed. And he said, of course. And he just loved me so much. And I'm just like, yeah, shouldn't he? He's your husband. Like, isn't that just reasonable? Isn't that just logical? Isn't that like literally not the point of people withholding sex from their partners for literally a decade? There's so many men.
Hold
They
on.
say like for
That
years.
that noise was me. Sorry about that. Continue.
But it's like I mean, like for years they're not having sex with their partners. So it's like that reasonable, logical. No one would argue with you. Say, hey, we can't have sex because it hurts me. Of course, I think a man of that loves you is gonna say that. Like, of course, it just almost seems like it's like totally not the point. And that's kind of
Right.
the
So
thing.
yeah. So
It's like and I'll wrap up with this. It's like it's not saying that there's no logic to avoiding sex with a partner. It's not saying that there's no particular
or
circumstance. What it is
justification.
saying,
It's
or
it's
justification,
totally
right?
justified. But
It's not saying that sometimes, literally, You just are tired. No one's saying that. It's this long period of time where you just keep saying no, and you don't touch this person, you don't kiss them, you're not affectionate, you're not loving. It's this long period of
Yeah.
time.
Okay. The thing
That's what
is,
we're talking about, you
okay, no,
know?
yeah, but the thing that I think needs to happen is a conflict, not that she
Mhm.
just needs to fucking get over it and fuck him.
But
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
so
Exactly.
what so
But
what needs to happen?
Mhm.
So like if it's helpful if you give the like an alternative example of how it should go.
Well,
So
I think how it should go is this, right?
okay,
So
go ahead.
they haven't been having sex for what you'd say 3 months. They sit down, they come to the table, and they say, "Well, what's going on? What's one thing that I can do to help you?" And if the woman's honest, she can say, "You put on a little bit of weight. I'm not attracted. I mean, it's shallow, but let's just,
Sure,
we'll just have the grace."
it's true.
And she say, "You put on a little bit of weight. I'm not attracted to it." And let's say we reverse it. Let's say the man says to the woman, "You had a couple of babies. You put on weight. Yeah, I'm just not into
If
it."
it's
Now they could work
literally,
together,
it's
right?
if it's literally the thing that like if
Mhm.
it's not a it's an ugly fact if that's true, but if it's
You're
literally
right.
if it's
But
literally
it's
the
just an
thing
example.
that is causing the dysfunction
Mhm,
in the sex of the relationship, you have to
mhm,
talk like I'm sorry,
mhm.
but I genuinely am I'm not being as attracted to you now. I think that if you lost weight I would be, and like that's also fucked up for me to put on
I
you,
I do agree with
but
you, I do,
it's
but
fucked up for me to put I'm you're my girlfriend right now. It's fucked up for me to
mhm.
make you lose weight for that. But if we want sex in a relationship, it's my body is making that need happen. So like that
Now, if you want me to be honest with you, I do think that, being that shallow, it kinda hurts you. I don't think it's good to operate like that,
sure.
but
No,
at the
I'm just
same time, just for the sake of
it's
the
an example.
conversation,
Yeah.
the 2 people would come together and they would discuss it, and they would try to figure it out, and it would be active on both people's party, like, both people should be
Yeah.
trying for the good of the other person, because that's the thing about a lot of
So
relationships. They look at them as being selfish instead of selfless. Like, I'm here for you, and then the other person says, "Oh, well, I'm here for you." It's your own personal will is what makes you do what's right. The person you
yeah,
shouldn't be forced to do what's right. You as the person
I
should do what's
I
right.
want to give the way that it should go down with the woman whose vagina hurts after having given birth or something. So like
That just it just makes sense. I'm sorry. No, you're right. You
no,
can go, but that
so
just makes sense.
it does make sense. It does make sense, but like, so let's say that that's true. So
Mhm.
that to me, like, that sounds like something that could cause a problem in a bunch of relationships that I've been in, where what would happen is she would be like, "Oh, I just don't want to have sex because it's hurting," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense," and I'll respect that. But also, like there are a lot of other ways that you can have sex and stuff, so like why are we not talking about those? Why is the whole conversation getting shut down because you like your vagina hurts and everything? Like I don't want to hurt your
You can still
vagina.
cuddle.
Let's
Yeah,
do
you can
something
still cuddle.
else. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
Why can't we talk about doing something else? What like are is there any comfortability with like that's triggering me, the thought of that, because it's like she's saying, if that's the case, that she's uncomfortable being ambivalent about sex ever.
Mm.
In a long-term relationship, I feel like you're there for your partner sexually sometimes, because I'm definitely like down to do shit that I don't like actually get any enjoyment out of because I want to make my partner happy. And
Being
if
selfless,
it
right?
so yeah, so if it's the case that she'll never do that, and every time that I get pleasure from her is only because she wants pleasure from that, specifically is a really traumatic thought for me, specifically
Mhm.
me. I don't that really freaks me out, that all my pleasure in a relationship only
It's
happens
contingent upon her
because
will. Yeah.
no, not her will, but for her pleasure.
Mhm.
Like I'm only
Mhm.
allowed to have like yeah, that one runs
Eh,
deep. Like I literally have like a
no, I see it.
chastity fetish because it
Mhm.
undermines that, because it makes it part of the sexual dynamic, because it's like, but it's like it runs really deep with me. It really freaks me out.
No,
Because
I see. No.
if it's the kink, then it's like, okay, this is exactly what's going on. This is what we're doing. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
like if it's
But isn't
not,
but that seems more a little bit like a cope, unfortunately, don't you think?
no,
It's more coping.
it's a it's a trauma like it's built up through
Well,
like
that's what it means to cope. Like
sure,
to cope means to deal with something.
sure.
Okay, I'm sorry. The internet has really taken a crap on that word.
Yeah, I
But
hate
what it
that
means
too.
to
I
cope,
fucking hate
what
that.
it means to
Yes.
cope is to deal with something effectively or to deal with
Yes.
something. That's what it means to cope.
Yeah.
A lot of people use the term cope on the internet to mean you're being delusional, and it's like, no, that's not what
Oh,
the word means.
cope. You're coping, bro. You're coping, bro.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. So my bad. Yeah, I guess now I have to be. Thanks to the internet and people being stupid, they
Yeah,
really just took over that word.
that it's so fucked up because when somebody says that, your response is to think about it. At least not me anymore, because when I heard you say that, I didn't do it. But at first, like my
Mhm.
response is like, "Wait, am I coping? What am I coping about?" And you're trying to process, and it's like they're forcing you to like rethink your like whole brain, just to shut
Mhm.
you down. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, but no, I was being earnest. I was like,
Yeah, that is a
because I
cope.
because I get it. Because I 100%, I get it, man. No, 100%. Make no mistake. I'm not making fun of you at all. Um,
Did you watch that Pussy Flaps video?
I don't think the one you sent me.
Yeah, the Mr. Girl music video.
I started it and then I was just like, man, I don't know if I can finish this. I started it and then I'm like, I don't like Mr. Girl. I really don't.
Fair enough.
He's not my guy.
I have like notes written because I was going to talk to him about that specific thing regarding that video. Um,
Hmm.
because well, you didn't watch it, but um,
You can just describe it. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
like it's like a black man being like sexy and like he's the black man doing like the digital black. It's pretty. I think it's funny, but
It's real eerie, actually. It looked really surreal. That's
yeah,
another thing that made me a little uncomfortable. Is like, I don't know if this is some AI thing or if this is him, and it didn't look human. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
didn't like looking at it.
yeah. Um, that I understand that, but the thing is like it's shake your pussy flaps is like objectifying women, but like in a weird way that's subversive and shit. Because he's like, shake your pussy flaps, baby, or no, basically. And I felt like the whole thing, and I feel like this is, I like was just feeling like really, I'm so glad that I'm not black because because the
Well,
way that
that's
that
statement.
character is like, I felt like he was being objectified more than her because all of his desire was like it was the sex beast that women expect you to be. And if I was
Yeah,
black, I'm like, if I was black, women would expect that even more. I would have even less
sometimes.
room in the bedroom because they would
Yeah.
even more expect me to be this like accident this rapist that happens to rape you in all the right ways.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a very accurate way to put that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a dangerous game they ask us to play, and they don't realize it.
Yeah.
Or maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they do, but I don't.
And
The way they talk is sometimes they really don't realize that, like, essentially, they are kind of asking us to like to assault them, and to just hope that they like it.
yeah, because they want the man to be overwhelmed with desire and like take what he
But only
wants,
if
but
it's the
he
man
wants
they
it.
want. But you don't know if you're the man. You don't know if that's the case, but you have to just hope. And well, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They
So,
want the man's desire to lead the whole thing.
mm-hmm.
I I really it's something I'm confused about because I don't know because I want women's desire
Mm-hmm.
as a response to that. I want women's desire to have a big role in the engagement. And
Kind of some ebb and flow,
am I
basically.
doing the same thing that they're doing to them though? Like
Mm-mm. I don't think so. I don't think so. Like if you want like a push and a pull, I'm saying no.
no,
But if
I
you
think I
want
might
them to
actually
like,
want them to be the sex
yeah, okay,
beast too.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't actually expect that. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I really don't expect that. So I do think what
Oh,
I'm settling on the I want them to be a sex beast enough to be 50-50. I think.
no, that's fine. I think.
All right, I'm glad I have your
I think.
permission.
Yeah, I mean, not that you were asking, but like I accept it. I think
Yeah.
I don't think you're asking for too much on that one, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
I'm also not a woman, so you,
That
gotta
one's
talk
been
to them
hard.
about
That
that.
one's been hard for me
Yeah.
cuz women
But
so often really fixate on the man's desire, and that undermines my ability to like have desire of my own.
or be desirable. I think what you're saying, right?
I don't want to be thinking about like it creates a conundrum because if I'm thinking, because I'm already going to be thinking about what she wants in the engagement, in the sex, and if what she wants is me to be overwhelmed with desire, then it creates a situation where I'm just incredibly confused and don't. Yeah, it's like you said. I don't know how to flip the switch to become like a rapist, but that's what they want me to do. You know?
No, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong, man.
yeah. Well,
No, to
thanks.
be fair, it's not all ladies. Like some will give you a little push and pull, but yeah, it's it's a very dangerous game they ask you to play.
I
And I
just I
think a
don't.
lot of people, I think C.S. Lewis made a really interesting joke about it, but a lot of people don't really give it the time you kind of give it and thought that you give it.
Well, I
That
don't. It's not
mhm.
dangerous for me though, because like what it does for me is it makes my boner die. So so I literally cannot be that like rapist guy. It's not dangerous. It just ruins my sex. It ruins sex for me
Well,
and for
yeah.
them.
What I'm go ahead.
So it ruins it. It ruins it.
Basically, what I was saying was, if you were to proceed, then you would just be assaulting a woman, but it just turns out she liked it.
Yeah,
You know, if you don't care, you don't care. But I think for the men who do,
but well, why are women like that though?
I think a part of it is, this is just a part of it. I don't think it's the whole story, but I think a part of it is they really measure their self-worth based on men's desire for them. Um, Shoot, like a conversation I have with a lot of ladies is how they say a lot of guys don't come up and talk to me, right? And it makes me feel ugly. It makes me feel unapproachable. And it makes me feel like I'm not wanted because men don't talk to me. Men don't come up to me. Like I see men, they come with the other girls, but not me. And usually I try to tell them, honestly, it's probably not even you. It's probably just the social sphere as it is. A lot of young men are kind of confused and they don't know that it is actually, funnily enough, more often okay. You might get rejected, but it is okay to talk to women. A lot of guys don't know that. But women, more to the point, they judge themselves even just based on the type of men who talk to them too, right? So as a young lady, unfortunately, if your self-worth is measured by man's desire for you, then this is just the full logical conclusion. If he's willing to go the distance to grab me, to have sex with me, that means I'm valuable. And that's how they interact with sex with some men, unfortunately.
It's like
So
they're like, the scene from Toy Story where there's all the Buzz Lightyears on the wall, and they're like, "I'll pick me." Like they want to be the one, and then you pick that Buzz Lightyear, and they're like, "That's them." They get to go home and live in your world, in your bedroom, by your rules.
yeah, it's interesting that women complain about pick me's, right? When a pick me is a pretty reasonable thing to be. Like if you're a woman, it's like, and you have a man that cares about you, it's a huge benefit. More than that, not just that it's a huge benefit, it's one of the things that just it defines you as a woman, much in the same way it defines you as a man. It's really interesting when you think about sexual dynamics. A lot of men and women are defined by each other, right? It really is
Yes,
yin and yang in
absolutely.
this way.
Yes.
Having a woman validates you as a man as much as having the desire of a man validates you as a woman. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't stop to really think about that. Um, Shoot, even when it comes to like the beauty standard thing, I was actually think I recorded the clips for this. I have to go check my folders for videos I've made, but it's like a lot of people try to understand beauty standards independent of what men want from women. And to me, it's absurd. And it causes this cognitive dissonance in a lot of women who are otherwise really pretty, but they're like, I don't fit the beauty standard. And it's like, but men try to date you? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, game set match. You don't need to fit the beauty standard. Your attractiveness has already attracted, per definition of the word, men to you. It's good, but to them, they're not registering it. One, because
Well,
it's not the men they want, and two, because another thing that's really interesting about women, right,
wait. I
is
need to talk about that one.
Mhm.
Wait, you can continue it, but
But the thing that is interesting about a lot of women and their insecurities, a lot of women covet things that they can't have, right? So it's like women. So let's just be graphic. Women with small breasts, they want bigger breasts, but in order to get that, you have to do surgery or maybe just gain weight, right?
yeah.
Or if they don't have wide hips, it's like there's not much you can do about that. Oh, now we got the Brazilian butt lift and we sculpt those hips out, right? So what they desire, it just can't be given to them because it's genetic a lot of the time. It's just it is what it is.
Yeah,
And
a lot
so
of people just hate what they got. It's normal.
yeah. And so for a lot of women, unfortunately, they're not comfortable in the reality that is being attractive means you're desirable to men. They don't want to give that to men. That my beauty exists for you. But it does. And that's a harsh thing to say, but it does. Much in the same way, men's physical attractiveness exists for women. A lot of men's physical strength is for women to do stuff for them.
Yeah,
We're
well,
defined by each other. There's an
it,
ebb and flow.
it's because women are valued by their beauty, and their beauty is defined by men's attraction to them. And I think for them to
Right.
admit that, it is traumatic. It's like a
Yeah.
fucked up reality to live in.
I think
So
so, man. I tell you.
like I don't like want them like to have to like also, and so that's where I think a lot of these additional like things come from that go beyond like you're attracted to the men, but I'm still not beautiful enough, and that's because they don't want that to be where they've you know they don't want to
Yeah.
actually be gauging it by that, so they're gauging it by some other like standard that I think a lot of women will like play into with each other, like they're playing this game. It becomes like
Mhm.
it's a game that men play too, with the
Mhm.
fashion like
Mhm.
the fashion hierarchy type shit, like you've got these on your shoulder, like these like like there was those buttons on the shoulders, and like, oh, that makes you look cooler for a while, and then people were wearing fedoras for a while, and um yeah, I will say that makeup, interestingly enough, is a skill. But
Absolutely.
I hate makeup though.
No,
But
I'm with you, dude.
at least it's not like wearing a fedora, because wearing a fedora is just you put it on. Am I cool now? Am I cool now, guys?
Mhm.
But with makeup, it's like you are venerated for the amount of skill you have. Except that's actually not true, because the makeup that I hate is the makeup that is made to look like it's not makeup. And even though we men kind of do know that it is makeup, it still tricks our brain into seeing them as more attractive than they actually are, and it hides shit. Like I don't have a problem with goth makeup that's like because like it's
It's
like an
mhm.
artistic creation, right? It's a
It's
different,
clear. Mhm.
yeah, it's not, yeah, it's not a like a deceptive thing, but yeah,
Yeah.
but I do
There's no
respect that it takes
ambiguity.
skill to do makeup. That is something. At least they have that, because then their value of their beauty becomes skill, and I think that's why women cling to it. Is because they want the way that they are valued to be linked to a skill, and so that's why makeup is this thing they will fucking die on that hill, because that's the only fucking thing that has anything to do with how skillful I am that anybody fucking cares about. So don't fucking take it away from me. That's I think what's happening.
Mhm. That's a great point. That's a great point. I never thought about that like that. That's a good point. Because usually when I see them, one thing I understand what they mean when they say makeup's not for you, it's not for men. What they're saying is it's like a mask I use to feel comfortable. It's how I'm presentable. So even if it's not I'm trying to be attractive, it's that I can't go out like the way I am because all these different blemishes or all these different scars or like or these these blemishes and stuff I understood that. It took me a while, like, when I was younger. At first, I was like, "That's nonsense," but over time, I recognized it, that it's kinda like maybe like wearing a hat, right? Like, you wear a hat because you don't wanna do your hair, and it makes you feel comfortable
Yeah,
outside. That's
I
makeup to them, right? It took me a minute to get that, but what you just said there, it's a great point. Them using it as a way to reflect their skill, even though it's still about their aesthetic, it's still attached to their ability to, like,
yeah.
control it,
If it was
right? There's still
easy,
control there,
if it
and
was
that's a
easy,
great
they
point.
wouldn't be attached to it if it was easy. It has to be hard.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, you can't, because you can't respect something that's easy, so I think it's yeah, you made a great point.
Yeah, but I still hate it. I really hate it.
Yeah, I don't like it either, I'll be honest with you.
I don't
I
want women to
prefer
shave. I don't want women to shave because so I was a femboy, okay? So
mhm,
I know what it feels like to because I got this fucking weird like dildo hickey on my forehead.
mhm,
Okay. I know it because I know what it feels like to want to cover that shit up or something. And I know what
mhm,
it feels like to shave my whole body. As a man, it takes even more fucking time. But dude, that sucks. I have like it's important to me to be attracted to women who don't shave
as
because I
they
don't want
are,
to
yeah,
put that on them.
mhm. No, actually the same way. I much prefer women to come as they are and allow me to accept them. Just let me do it. Let me accept you, and then I know what we're dealing with, and if I like that, that's the one I'm gonna be spending most of my time in my life with. So let me get that, right? No, I'm with you. I don't like makeup either. I think that I think that obviously there's like some occasions where it's like I just want to get dolled up. Okay, whatever. But overall, I much prefer women that don't wear makeup. Much prefer. Just come as you are. Um,
If you frame it in the end by your own preference, so like I'm not saying that's
well, that's
necessarily
just what it is.
wrong.
Like
It's
it's
not necessarily wrong, but
mhm,
what I think that I tend to do is at the end of that string of thoughts, I'll say that it's my preference first.
mhm,
If I'm going to say that I prefer, I actually don't agree though. I don't. I prefer women with makeup because it makes them look more attractive. I think it tricks my brain
mhm,
um because they're hiding their face in my imagination. Like I just they look more attractive, and I don't want to be attracted to people who are not as they are without it. Like I only my attraction means nothing to me if you are wearing makeup, right? Like that's how I feel. But so I guess that's easier for me to say than just saying that I'm only attracted to or more attracted to women that don't wear makeup. But if you end your thought by saying that instead of starting it, then all of the good points that you had, then people, I don't know, there's something about that framing your social criticisms of about women and then just saying what you think is hot or not. It's like, well, okay, well now I don't trust you because it's all about
mhm.
you.
But I think that's the problem. I think that's a projection, though. One, well, there's two things to that. Because I see your point, but I do think that it's important to kind of allow space for men to have preferences. As men, we should be allowed to say, I would desire this. And if you're not that, I'm also well within my rights to not accept it. Now, here's what's interesting. Me personally, and this is why projecting it onto me isn't really fair. I have a wide attractive range to women, right? Like the women that I find beautiful, it's a huge wide range. I'm talking about plus size, I'm talking about skinny, I'm talking about tall, I'm talking about short. I
Hell
like
yeah.
women, right? So to be upset with me to have a quote unquote preference, it's like, look, man, I'll date a short,
No,
pale Irish woman.
you're doing
It,
it
it don't
again.
even it don't
You're
matter.
doing it again. Someone in my chat
I
said you
I'm
do
doing no no no.
Mode and
I
Bailey. You're doing it
mhm.
again. You're doing it again.
It's not doing a Mon Bay. They're wrong, but I don't think they even understand the concept of Mott Bailey if they think I'm doing that. But what I'm saying is, right, like to project the problem of me having a preference onto me specifically, and then that carries through everything isn't true. That's just what the conversation we were having was. We were having a conversation about what we liked. If
No,
you were to
no, no. That's
say,
not what it was. It was a conversation.
and then I misunderstood the
Okay.
conversation. I thought that the conversation was personal between you and
Well,
me.
I
So
was saying that I hate makeup. Well, it is personal, but I hate what I was when
oh,
I say I hate makeup, I
mhm,
actually mean that I just hate it not because I don't think it's attractive. I'm saying I hate it because it it's like high heels. It's not like I think high heels are ugly, but I hate them. I just like they freak me out. They make like women like slower and if I'm hanging out with you, I don't want you to be fucking crippled and shit. You know, like if we're gonna have to like jump over like a little like crevasse, like I want you to like, I don't want to be with someone that can't do that. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that to yourself? And when I
You
was
know
talking
why? But
about it, I wasn't talking about just my preference. And I think if we're having this social conversation and then you end it with your preference, then I think
Mhm.
you do this, but you're right.
Mhm.
You are right. This is why it's a Mott and Bailey. You are right that you should be allowed to express your preference, absolutely. But it's the context in which you bring the personal into the social and the way you do it that freaks people out.
So people need to have grace because I misunderstood. I thought that was a personal conversation. I didn't realize we were talking about socially. I thought we were talking about our preferences. If I misunderstood that, then where's again? Where's the grace? I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused because what even would be wrong with me talking about that?
It's not wrong actually. I agree that you should be able to talk about that. It's just the context of bringing it up in, if you're talking about social things about
Okay,
different groups of
but then
people.
we would have to acknowledge again that I misunderstood the conversation.
Sure,
I
sure.
didn't realize.
I'll acknowledge that.
Mhm,
Maybe
mhm.
that's happening a lot with you. Maybe you're like a little autistic
Well,
or
I
something.
thought
I'm trying to
no, it's
figure
not
out
about
because
being
you
autistic. I think just in this no, I
no,
thought that the
you're
makeup
not.
conversation was. You're right, I'm not. I'm the complete opposite of being autistic. I understand social situations so well, I just don't care. It's not the same thing at all, actually. Um, but no, I just misunderstood. I thought we were just having a conversation about our preferences. But if you wanted a social conversation about makeup, I mean, you can definitely continue that because I think that makeup has the unfortunate problem of again, like I'm saying, it makes women think that they needed to be presentable, and they don't. They just don't. You know, clean your face. You know, straighten your hair out a little bit. Make sure it's not all knotted out. You know, wear appropriate clothing,
Yeah.
and get enough sun. Unfortunately, makeup is a bit of a crutch to them. So to that extent, like I can have the conversation socially. I just didn't realize.
Okay.
But
I really like it. Maybe I'm conflating social and personal too sometimes, but I don't know. I really like it when I am cuddling with a woman and then she's like, I'm like big spoon and she farts on me for the first time. And if
that's
that,
weird.
you know, I like
I
it.
get what it's intimate. I know what you're.
Yeah, I like it not because I actually enjoy being farted on.
I know. I
It's
know.
like I make it a moment where I'm like, no,
I know.
this is okay, because I want her to learn that it's okay in our
Mhm.
relationship to be completely just vulnerable and just stop caring a bit, because like I'm not gonna fucking like if we're cuddling and you fart, I'm not gonna like ruin the moment for you. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's okay. Like we need to be able to trust each other like this. So that's a
No,
moment
yeah.
that happens in relationships for me.
Yeah, it's intimate is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, and I love it. I love how it's
Mhm.
not
No,
real,
see,
not
yeah,
really.
no,
Yeah.
I get you. See what I find. Let's have another meta conversation, right? Like I understand you perfectly well.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a credit to how intelligent that I am because I find myself agreeing with you a lot. But then the commenters are like, "Why did he say that?" It's like,
Well,
guys, like what's going on? How is it that I can understand him and agree, but you guys can't understand me and agree?
in my chat, well, I don't know, maybe I'm doing something monstrous by doing this, but somebody who absolutely hated your guts last time they saw you in my chat was like, "Oh, this is like way more pleasant." So maybe if you're actually that's why I'm like trying to like weigh you up, because if you're actually like a fucking monster and I'm like, I'm telling her, I'm painting you out to be, maybe you're trying to train everybody to be like incel rapists or something. I really don't think that. But yeah,
See, the thing that's interesting.
you sh-
Go ahead.
I think that you do have a lot of good points and opinions. I just think that the way that you argue on those panels, you and I know you love it. You love like pissing people the fuck off, and you like with the fucking marital rape thing where it sounds like you might be advocating for marital like rape.
I think you
And
have to misunderstand. You have to willfully misunderstand me to think that, though. That's the thing. You'd have to try, and that's why I love it, right? Because I want the person to purposefully and try to misunderstand me so they can see how stupid they are. That's why I
but
like it.
what you're doing is you're scaring them.
No, no, I don't think so. Or if I am, it's because they're stupid. I'll just because you'd have to be dumb to misunderstand the point I was making there.
No, I think it is a scary point because you could mean that you're saying marital rape is okay.
Mm-mm, no. See, again, right? If I say it is your own will, that is contradictory to the concept of rape. Rape is having sex you don't want to have. Like, that's just a basic definition. And from
Yeah.
there, we can get into more specific stuff. If I say your own will is, I care about that person and I want them to feel pleasure, that's not rape. You're doing it. You want them to feel pleasure. You want them to feel good. You want them to be able to have that emotional intimacy. That doesn't mean you do it every single time. That's stupid. Of course, I again in that conversation, what did I say? That I gave an example of a reasonable time that was so obviously reasonable, it kind of misses the point of sexual withholding, right? So to me, I think like you have to try very hard to make that marital rape point. You're kind of stupid
I think that
if you
you
take what I'm saying to mean that, oh, you should just let the person do
no,
whatever they want.
I have more
No.
grace for those people. I think that you like I think that you have a need to freak them out because you are pissed off. Like you know that they will get freaked out, I think, and you're like,
I don't
fuck
think I
that,
can take that
and you
one.
go reach
No, I
out.
can't go. No, I don't have a need. I don't think that's fair. I
The
don't think
person, the person, by the way, that
I
like
do find
says
it entertaining. Go ahead.
the person that was saying that they thought this was way more pleasant the last time. That's my girlfriend. She was, I think she spoke to you. She's Biddy. Um, she was like really triggered,
Oh.
really triggered by you
Hmm.
the other time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that was her. Oh, I just thought she was someone that hung out on Wick's channel. You see, here's what's funny, right? This is what's really interesting to me. Let's have another meta conversation. I don't dislike her at all. I thought she was fine to talk to. She just doesn't.
Well, some people are still triggered. They're saying so.
That's okay.
No,
I like her to be
as a
more
man, you
specific.
have to make
I,
sure
w- I
that
would.
you make sure that they're not triggered. That other person's a man too, but
Mhm. I would like to know why.
all
Why
right,
their feelings hurt.
all
Why
right.
your feelings hurt.
Kilo, he's the one who said you do Moat and Bailey, and I do think that you kind of do.
No, I don't think he understands what a Mon Bailey is.
Well, the way that I phrased it with you said that you didn't understand what I was saying because
Well,
you
I didn't understand the nature of the conversation. It's different than Mon Bailey. Mon Bailey is
well,
when you
that's an
have like
excuse
one. You
though.
have one. That's not an
That
excuse. That's
no
an
no no no.
explanation.
When I say excuse, is similar to cope. Like I'm saying, like excuse is a ruined word, but like it actually is an excuse. Um, like it's an excuse for what otherwise would be a modern Bailey, because if you actually didn't understand, because if you did understand and then you did that, then what you're doing is you're changing the framework and clinging on to like you're clinging onto the original like point that you're trying to make by hiding it and changing the framework. That's a Moat and Bailey.
Even if that's the case, I didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
Mon Bailey has to be done with intention. If I misunderstood, I misunderstood.
Yeah, I don't I believe you that you don't do that on purpose. I do think though that you
Well,
do.
in that particular conversation, I is a misunderstanding. I don't know.
I do think that you just I don't know. You don't need me to keep doing this, diagnosing you or whatever, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's fair. I'll tell you. I mean, when you say something that's fair, I'll tell you it's fair. If I don't think it's
yeah,
fair,
but
I'll tell
it's
you it's not.
uh, do you want to not piss people off?
don't care.
Okay,
Be
then
better
maybe
at
my
that.
advice doesn't mean shit. Like it's
Yeah, I
just
don't
me.
care. Because I'll tell
It's
you
me
why.
trying to humanize you. Okay, because
Let me
if I'm telling you this shit, then it's like I'm saying, look, he's like he's receptive to that, and that's what I'm trying
here,
to do.
let me tell you why. I'll be very clear here, and this might piss people off, and it should.
Okay,
If you get upset with what I'm saying, to be honest with you, the problem is you. If you think about what I'm saying, what am I asking for? Let's go back to the conversation about marital partners withholding sex. What am I asking you to do? Care about another person. Why are you upset about that? You pick this person. If you follow the train of logic, you pick them. You're this isn't you in Saudi Arabia. This isn't you in China. It's you in America. You pick them out of every other person you could have been with. They asked you, "Hey, can I marry you?" You asked them, "Hey, can we get married?" You did that. Now you're in this marital contract that you willingly chose to be in. Follow the logic with someone that you are supposed to love and take care of. If this is true, this is all consistent. Why are you not having sex with them?
yeah, but okay, the thing that about that I find grating, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that you do,
Mm-hmm.
if we're talking, because this is really brutal and like obnoxious, but you're a trooper for putting up with this. The thing that you do that I think is grating is that you I don't think it's wrong. I think it's I really admire people that go right for the conflict, but you're not framing it as a conflict. You're saying the thing that you know will piss them off without acknowledging that you're like, I know that this is something that we disagree on, and you're not
I'm
really.
not prepping them. That's what it is. I'm not prepping them for their
It's
disagreement.
not the pre
I'm
it's
not I'm not treating them with kid gloves. I'm not giving them some cotton. I'm going straight to it. I'm
no
challenging
no
you
going.
directly. That's what it is. They don't like being challenged directly. Because again, follow the logic. If you follow everything I said, we get to the final conclusion. Why would you not want to be with this person you chose to be with? And that creates some really uncomfortable thoughts. And what they do is they don't like those thoughts, so they project it on me and they get upset.
You know,
Oh,
but
so
you
you're saying that I should just get maritally raped? No, think
but
about it for a second. You pick this person. Why aren't you being with them?
but
Because
what
here's the truth. Here's the truth. Let me just finish this because
okay
here's the truth. A lot of people don't want to accept that they settled, and they don't want to accept that they didn't like the person. They don't like their partner, and they don't want to accept that maybe they should do something different. Maybe they are being cruel. They don't want to accept the inner work that they have to do. So they have to throw it off, and they want to shift the conversation and make it something that it's not. I'm not saying your partner should force you. I'm saying that you should be willing. That's not the same thing. Totally not the same thing.
yeah,
It's not
but
the same thing at all.
you're not going you're actually not going straight for what you think. You're painting a whole narrative, and instead of, because if you wanted to say exactly what you think first, you could just say
So
I
okay,
think you could just say I think that women, or excuse me, it's actually not a woman.
partners. It's not.
You
Yeah, it's not a
usually say
woman thing.
women, so it's that's why I went there. But no, I
Mhm.
think that you should be able to I think that in a long-term relationship, you are responsible for your partner's sexual needs, and if you fail to meet that, it destroys the relationship. Now, that's
It's
something
not,
that
that's the thing. It's not so much about being responsible. That's the thing, right? It's about being honorable. It's about reciprocating that. Because responsibility entails that there is an obligation.
unless
And
the relationship is,
Mhm.
it's an obligation to yourself because if you want to view it completely transactionally, that
That's the
relationship
thing.
needs that to function.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't want to see. I'm trying to get away from looking at relationships transactionally, right? Because the truth is, one person, almost no matter how you slice it, excuse me for burping, is going to invest more. Now, typically that's men. That's just sorry, that's just facts. Typically men invest more into women on the front end at least. But it's never really gonna be balanced. So if you play it out transactionally, most relationships just can't be balanced out. And it's just not fair to the person that can't balance it out. But that also doesn't mean that you shouldn't be in a relationship. Like for example, let's say you're a dude, you have a six-figure salary, you already have a house, and you meet this woman, and she's like a bikini barista, right? Like, and she lives in a studio apartment. Like, she can't match what you have. And let's say that you start dating her. Like is she obligated to do whatever she wants because you have more money? No. That would be ridiculous, right? So you're bringing in more, but that doesn't mean that you disrespect the person or you mistreat them. But there's no way she can match what you bring. It's just not reasonable. It's not fair. So a relationship I don't think should be transactional. It should be honorable. It should be you care about me, so I'm gonna do what I can for you. And the other person's gonna take that and say, that's what I want. And
Well,
there you go.
well, that when you say honorable, that's a nice,
Mhm.
pretty word to say it, but it's
It's a
still,
perfect word.
it's
It's a beautiful word.
yeah, it is, but it's also I don't agree. I changed it. No, don't make me fucking say that. It's not. No, I don't like it because it still is a transaction. It's just you're not saying that it has to be equal. Like if you have more money, she like has to have that. It's what we each provides what they can, and the amount of effort and so like.
Well,
You,
that's why we have to be precise with language. That's why I don't say transaction. I say reciprocity, right?
that's good.
Like,
Yes.
like if someone gives me a gift, a transaction would be, okay, now I have to do something. There's an obligation and a transaction. Reciprocity, there's no obligation.
Okay. Well, then let's go all the way back. So we had this little sidetrack talking about honor and transactionally reciprocity. So if you go to what your argument was, then what you could say, just your opinion, that I'm steel manning, that in a relationship you have a you if you would like a healthy relationship that's going to last, there is a reciprocity that's required sexually. Um, and if you say that, that's going to be way less, because it doesn't sound like you're saying marital rape. It's like,
It didn't sound like that at any point in time. That's the thing.
well,
You
the
can't
thing
even
that you left
comment it
out
to make it
though,
sound like that.
the thing that you left out, the thing that I am taking great pains to keep putting in every single fucking time I say it is that
Mhm.
otherwise the relationship would end. Otherwise it would destroy the relationship. So I'm saying that it's not like you have to like fuck somebody you don't want to fuck. I'm saying that's actually just part of a healthy relationship.
Well, that's kind of the nature of a sexual relationship by definition.
Right. But you can end it. You can end it. Like it's not like
What-
you
what-
have to fuck them. It's like you actually might actually not want to fuck them, and then you're not in a good relationship.
No, I see. I see.
Okay.
I still don't see how you can say that that was an argument for marital rape. That doesn't even.
No, I'm trying to explain why people are gonna go there right off the bat.
Mhm. I don't know. I think I just have to tell them that they're stupid and then explain why they're
But
stupid
you're
on that
saying
one.
it in a way that doesn't completely, because
Well, it
it's
does.
a very scary thing, and you're not saying it in a way that you're saying it in
See,
a way that lets them have that in their imagination. And then even if you say something that contradicts that as a potential for your opinion, like that you're saying that if you're saying something that precludes marital rape, okay, you're still saying enough things that don't, that they're already scared enough that they're no longer listening, and then they freak out.
so I guess I'd have to just argue with that person specifically because this goes back to the word of the hour, and that is a lack of grace. If you would even think that I'm approaching that after literally saying that men should be honorable and kind people, what kind person would force his wife to have sex? That's just a contradiction of itself. You then have to go back and say you're contradicting yourself to even begin to approach this conversation, and then we'd have to go through that. So,
Well,
as a
when you use,
presupposition,
but when
hold
you
on,
use
but hold
the
on, hold
words
on,
on,
because but it's important though, right? Because again, like if you're being consistent with me, and I've already set up that men should be kind and honorable people, then it would never dawn on the man's mind to force that woman to have sex.
yes, but those so oh so like they're supposed to have like an epiphany. Oh, Zerse also thinks that men should be kind and honorable, so that means he wouldn't say that marital rape is okay. But the thing is, the thing is, kind and honorable are very subjective words, and
They're really not.
hold, especially honorable. I'm sure that like people, the fresh and fit people, they definitely use the word honorable very often, but they don't use it in a way where you're talking about like a healthy reciprocity in a relationship. They use it in a way where it's honorable for a man to provide all the money, and it's honorable for a woman to fuck him whenever he wants her to.
Well, I mean, Myron's also a Muslim, or at least Muslim
Sure.
adjacent.
So
So,
his definition of honor is very different. That's why it's
well, his
subjective.
definition is wrong. I can say it's wrong.
Well, yeah, but you
I
understand
can
though
go
that
so far
people,
as to
you're
say Islam is a false religion.
the
Just if I
word
really want to be like
honor.
that.
The reason that I took it back when I said the word honor is a beautiful word is because it does smuggle in that, like, it makes it
Mm,
less clear because
mm-mm. I think you know a tree from the fruit it bears, right? So Myron's full of crap. As intelligent as he is, I do respect the
yeah,
guys that are freshman fed, but Myron's full of crap. When the fruit is this nasty game of me trying to take and take and take without giving, right? What I'm saying is you give and the person who loves you gives back, right? You're going back and forth.
yeah,
No
but you're
one's taking and taking
using
and taking. We're giving
he's
to each other.
he's destroyed the word honor. Okay, not
I
necessarily
don't
him
I don't
specifically,
No, I'm gonna
but
bring it back then.
oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna
but when
fight
if
him.
you're gonna do that, you have to lay it out, because if you don't lay it out, then people literally think that you're saying the fresh and fit thing, and that's what freaks them out.
And then they have to listen.
Well, in that case, it's not just listening, because now they have to know that the question that they need to ask you is what you believe honor is. But they already think they do understand, they know what honor is. So now they think that you are saying that, you have to fuck your husband whenever he wants you to fuck him.
Mm-mm. No, that's nonsense.
I know that because I understand now like what you mean when you say honor, but
Okay.
the other person that freaks out doesn't understand that. I think that you're catching people in your trap that aren't as stupid as you think they are, because they're
Well, no.
just
Ironically, they need to be intelligent in order to have a conversation with me. If you don't understand what I'm saying, that would be the confirmation you're stupid.
okay.
If you willfully are trying to make an argument that I didn't make to fight with that, more or less straw man me, that's when I insult you and say that you're being a dumb person. If you take everything I say and you follow the logic, you have to break down the logic. You can't just make up a conclusion that's not there.
No, I'm saying that they make up the conclusion because they think that in this case, they think that when you're saying honor, they don't understand that you value reciprocity as part of like honor and stuff. They think
But
that honor is like traditional like bullshit where you're
so what's the word of the stream?
grace.
There you go. They're
Okay,
not
yeah, but
having
grace is another word that's very subjective though.
it really isn't.
It
You can't
is.
you can't say every word has a subjective definition. At that point, we're not even speaking English
No,
anymore.
because
At a
no.
certain point, words have to mean what they mean.
No, when you
Otherwise,
lean
they're not talking to each other.
when you lean on words that represent virtue. So these are virtues, honor, like
Mhm.
grace. These are like when you lean on these people, all virtues. So you can describe the behavior that you think is good, the behavior that you think is bad, but virtues, um, people have very different ideas about what virtues are. And if you say that, oh, one just must be virtuous, all of the shittiest people that they could possibly imagine that could say the same thing that you're saying but with a totally different meaning are using the virtues as what is behind they're using those to lean on, and they're using them wrong or differently than you. They believe that to be graceful is to always suck your husband's dick or whatever, or what like they
So, so then this goes back to one of the first things I learned in my philosophy class very many years ago. Um, is the very first thing that we should do when we have a conversation is define what we mean before we proceed. And so this way, when we both understand what each other is saying, there's no talking past one another. Because technically, two people can be correct at the same time because they have different definitions that they're using. So, to me, the first thing that we probably should have done is define our terms, figure out what we're talking about, what we mean. Because if I disagree with that definition, then that's not what I'm talking about. So, you know, but
all right, I just think that virtues uniquely are going to cause these types of issues unless you talk about them first
that's
always.
because these people have no virtue. That's what it is. It's because these
No,
people.
no, no, no,
I'm,
like
I'm,
there
I'm
there's
being funny.
somebody
I'm being funny. I'm
somebody
being funny. I'm being
Okay,
funny. I'm
okay,
being
okay,
funny.
okay.
Joking.
Because there are people who I'm sure like actually agree with everything that you have to say on that point, but just get triggered by the word honor and think you're saying literally the opposite of what you're saying.
Hmm. But I think so. So I'm gonna be directly insulting.
Go for it.
They did a they did not do very well in English class because one of the main questions that get asked on any test in multiple different forms is what is the main idea? What is the main idea of what I'm saying? And if you can't grasp that, you probably you did a piss poor job in English. Because you can't get because this is one thing that's really interesting. I was a substitute teacher for a while. One of the interesting things about English class is that it's not literally there to teach you English. It's there to teach you how to get a bunch of information and condense it to its most important points, understand it, and then be able to reciprocate with your own. The whole point of writing essays constantly, right, is not really so much to just get good at writing essays, is to get good at understanding your own information, getting the most important points, putting them together in a digestible way, and then giving those ideas to another person. So if you can't do that, I'm sorry, you did a piss poor job in English and you're kind of stupid. Okay, now that's me being funny. But to be serious, 100% serious, you're not actually trying to grasp the point. You're trying to look for a problem. Because if you grasp what I'm saying in its entirety, again, it does not make any sense, any logical sense to say, and therefore you can rape your wife. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't even make
But
sense.
there are people who actually think that though.
And that's true, and they're wrong, and I'll argue that those people are wrong, but
Those
that's not
people
me.
use the word honor too.
Then they use the word wrong. If people can use the word wrong, it's okay to say something's wrong and then correct them.
There are
You're
words that
wrong.
have very like rigid definitions or that are not
But
very
Smith, those people are wrong, and I will
with
argue that
virtue.
you're
Sure,
wrong.
you're allowed to say that, but I'm just saying that if you are expecting people to understand exactly what you mean when you just state a virtue, there is no virtue that isn't contaminated socially to mean a bunch of different retarded things.
Mm, I don't know if I fully agree with that. I kind of get the idea of what you're saying, but I think there's a little bit more nuance.
Yeah.
You reading the comments, the chat?
No, I was just thinking about you're sitting on your like floor.
Oh yeah, I am,
Yeah.
but I always sit on the floor.
Yeah.
It's not. Hold on. Is coercion rape? Is guilting someone honorable? So Fargo Lefty, are you still here? Because that's a great example of being stupid.
Oh
I went
my.
to your chat. That's an excellent example of being dumb. At what point did I argue that coercion was fine? And at what point did I say is guilting someone honorable? This is. I'm glad you wrote that. I'm glad you wrote this. That's an excellent example of being stupid. The conclusions that you came to cannot at any point in time have come from what I said. At 0 point. The idea that I think that coercion is fine. Well, if I say that you as a person looks at your spouse,
Wait, no.
all the
He's saying it wasn't an accusation. It was a question.
okay, there's a question. Okay, I apologize then, right? So yeah, I would probably say that coercion is rape. Well, I think we need a better word than rape. I'm gonna be honest with
I
you.
think
I
rape
think that it's
is.
immoral, but I don't know if the word rape is correct.
It
I think
depends.
that's
Like I think rape is contingent on an experience of the other person. Like let's say that you are like this like theoretical rape beast man that we're talking about earlier, who rapes you in all the right ways that you actually wanted the whole time.
and then it's not rape because you
It's not
wanted
rape. You didn't. You failed. You
it.
fail. You're a failure rapist because you failed
Yeah.
to rape them. Yes. So I think it's contingent on them being violated and not getting what they want. You're getting what they don't want, you know. But
Mhm. But like, so like the thing is with coercion, right? There's some areas that are pretty clear cut. Let's say you're a landlord and it's there's another pandemic and you leverage your apartment room against a single mother. So technically, right, she understood the agreement. I'll have sex to stay in this room, but it's coercive, right? There's duress. You're forcing her, not with physical force, but with the duress of the situation she finds herself in. So yeah, you could. So the question is, would we need a new word than rape? Because technically, she said fine begrudgingly, but it's not really a fine. It's not really an okay. He didn't physically attack her. He didn't take her while she was drunk, but the circumstances are so dire, she feels like there's no options. So to me, I think it's pretty clear to say it's immoral and it should be illegal, but then maybe a different word needs to exist for it. I think a different word, could
yeah,
exist, or you could
rape
add the
is
caveat
just such a
coercive
large
rape. You know,
it's such a large spectrum of things that yeah, it's
so so again, so I think yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like being a sex pest, right? Where someone's like, please, 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 I got blue ball, please, please. It's like, is that rape? If she says yes, it's like it's tough to say yes that's rape, but it's immoral. It's
yeah.
wrong. You shouldn't do it. But is that the word we should use? That's the question.
Maybe
And
instead
I
of
think a different word needs to exist to describe that immorality. Like it's clearly
yeah,
wrong to do
so that
that.
you
I
can
mean,
point it because it is such a large scale,
mhm.
large spectrum, and rape does not the word rape alone does not do a good job of telling you where that is at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So that's how I feel. I think yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
You,
yeah. All right.
you tell me that if that was reasonable or not.
Well, someone. Well, I'm not gonna read that. Okay. Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Okay, good. I'm glad we agree on something.
Yeah.
Say that like we haven't been agreeing this whole time. No.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
something.
like just trying to find. I do think that you talk like Steven Crowder. So
Maybe. I won't say entirely no. But maybe.
all right. Um. Yeah. All right. Thank you for the stream. That was a good stream. Um. Are you so you have a YouTube channel? What is your stuff?
So it's Bass FZZ, Bass F double Z.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. BASSFZ.
All
And I'm
right.
the only one there, so you can't miss me.
Cool. All right. Nice talking to you. I'll probably eventually meet up again somehow.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have another chat about anything specific, we can. That'd be cool.
Yeah, if I want to trigger the fuck out of somebody, I'll.
But yeah, we'll probably meet another panel, or like I said, you can just chat me up if you want.
All
I don't
right.
mind.
I'll let you know. All right. Bye.
Um, Adios, man.
Okay. Uh, so I don't have a stream planned for the immediate future, but I have a write up of my thoughts about. Like I was just mentioning in that conversation about Max's song. A lot of similar topics, but a very different conversation. Um, so I might do that at some point if he's willing to talk to me. But that might not happen. He's not streaming so much anymore. But you'll see more of me soon. So, without further ado, I'm going to let you go to bed, Smith heads. I'm going to tuck you in and give you a nice spoonful of sugar so you can wash down this methadone. I'll give you a nice kiss on the forehead. I'm not going to stick a dildo on your forehead like I did so I could have a funny Twitter post. I'm just going to tuck you in, and I'm not going to do anything weird to you like your friends did to you at that party that time. I'm just going to let you go right to bed, and that's going to be the end of it. I promise. Okay. Good night, everybody.